Introduction to the Treasure Refining Lord of Swallowing the Starry Sky. www.zhaozuiyuan.com Stone points obtain the inheritance of treasure refining and are reborn in the world of devouring the starry sky. The inheritance treasures that shake the primitive universe, endless wealth resources, incredible luck, powerful talent and insight, immortal clone talents, top-notch treasure refining techniques, and the most powerful private forces. All kinds of invincible capital in a person. https://www.zhaozuiyan.com. The Logic of Talent Detection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, everyone is always roast about this problem. Tonight, I saw this comment again. There was thunder and lightning outside, and it was a heavy rainstorm, which made my mind uneasy. So I just started up again and opened a single chapter to explain. Some book enthusiasts haven't figured out the logic, so I'll just play a little spoiler and organize it for everyone. I will first give two examples from the original work. The first example. The inheritance of the Duandong River. After obtaining the inheritance of the Duandong River, Luo Feng obtained a massive amount of memory stones and a vast knowledge reserve. After obtaining inheritance, it was mentioned in the original work that with these knowledge reserves, more immortals and venerable individuals can be cultivated. The current strong individuals can go further through systematic cultivation. Venerable beings can become the masters of the universe, while those with powerful talents can become true gods. The existing ruler of the universe is likely to become a true god. In summary, the more powerful the cultivation information is, the more powerful the cultivators can be based on the existing resources. The second example. The world of Jin. The immortality, reverence, the ruler of the universe, and true gods contained in it are incalculable. The world of Jin has a high level and produces powerful treasures. Coupled with an incredibly comprehensive training system, it produces a terrifying number of powerful individuals. This example is equivalent to an enhanced version of the first example. Combining these two examples makes it easier to understand the logic of talent detection. Firstly, the level of 1 is very obvious, higher than the God King of Jin. The method of 1 is beyond the worldview of devouring the starry sky, which is very normal. You can refer to the factors of qi, cause and effect in Snow Eagle Lord. The inheritance that the protagonist has already obtained is of extremely high level, equivalent to top-level knowledge. Top-level knowledge can cultivate a multitude of strong individuals. The impact of top-level secret scripts on strength can be referred to as the three giants of indigenous Earth original works. After obtaining the secret scripts of Hyanbo, their strength all skyrocketed. Moreover, the protagonist has obtained almost endless wealth, and even a pig can be nurtured to immortality. With strong financial resources, it can enhance the growth limit of human strength. Combining two aspects, equivalent to a low-end version of Jin World, it is not difficult to cultivate some top-notch individuals who are only respected. So creating a large area of orange grade. By the way, give an example from the original work that resources affect strength. A most ordinary person without talent. Providing the top treasures, resources, secrets, and teaching environment can definitely become immortal. The Nightmare Candle King of the Garbage Star domain was forcibly elevated by his revered father. Of course, the power of the Nightmare Candle King may not be as ordinary, but his example can well illustrate the importance of resource inheritance. Secondly, I need to reiterate the definition of talent detection. Talent detection measures the ultimate growth limit of a person's immortality and strength, but it is not the most authentic cultivation talent. The ultimate growth limit value is related to many complex factors such as fate, luck, cultivation talent, speed of law comprehension, willpower, and life and death experience. People who are also at the orange level, venerable level. Some are less than 100 million years old, while others are about to break their cycle and reach the level of venerable. However, their talents are different, and some may just be a bit lucky. If you die, just play it out. Finally, let's talk about the protagonist again. The book title I set is Treasure Refining Lord. The Lord level is the most powerful level of power that devours the starry sky worldview. Is it difficult for a protagonist with such a profound background and a younger brother who has been personally trained to have the attribute bonus of the protagonist to become a master? And these little brothers, I don't know when they became venerable. Now it's just a decoration. Besides, at present, the geniuses purchased from slaves that I am writing about do not have a yellow level, cosmic master level. Except for the 5 giants of the earth, there is no orange level 1 in the earth's lineage. Didn't everyone notice this difference? The gap in resources leads to such results. The decisive factor for the ultimate growth limit of Zhaozuiyuan.com is not only their basic talent, but also the intervention of the protagonist. The current displayed orange level. It is currently the protagonist's resource that can be cultivated to the limit. The resources for 1 gradually open up, and the protagonist's strength further improves. Orange level is far from the limit. P.S. Many book enthusiasts have asked me about human territory and the strength of human populations. Compare the power at the level of the primordial universe with the protagonist power far beyond the level of the divine king. Dear readers, you have set the wrong goal. The protagonist's current strength is weak, but their background is not weak. The most important point. The extravagance of 1 is far from here. Please follow my imagination. So far, no one has thought of my post-production outline. You mentioned my talent detection, and I feel quite aggrieved and helpless. My main purpose in writing about cultivating talented disciples is to write about the glorious status of the earth lineage, so to start with, I need to write about this matter. Otherwise, the earth lineage can only serve as a background board. In order to write about the Earth's lineage and create a talent detection setting, I have thought about it many times myself but have not found any logical loopholes. I respect the original setting very much. Later on, I will gradually showcase my imagination and give everyone a surprise. The current talent detection. Just treat everyone as a decoration for cultivating influence, and the geniuses discovered are almost useless for the time being. What I thought late at night, some of my own thoughts may have been temporarily forgotten, and I will add them later. It's almost 3.30, it's slipping away. If there are any issues with this chapter, please give me a kick. Chapter 1. Living Out the Stone of the Second World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Primitive Universe. The Milky Way, Earth. Jiangnan Bay City, Yangzhou City. Nanan Community. In the mysterious virtual trial space. Sherfan leaned against the edge of the forging table. He was holding an exaggerated and uniquely shaped forging hammer in one hand. The diameter of the forging hammer head exceeds 30 centimeters, which is much larger than normal-sized watermelons. At this moment, there was a hint of confusion in his eyes. On the iron felt in front of the stone clone, there is a piece of iron that emits a dark red light and residual heat. With Sherfan's days, the iron block gradually cooled down and turned into a square black iron block. The forging genius in the eyes of family and friends is now like a salted fish, losing confidence in the future. Sherfan was completely lost. The period of 18 years is getting closer and closer. For over 2 years. Sherfan is firmly stuck in the 8th stage of treasure refining inheritance. I haven't made any progress in the past 2 years. Now, let alone the final 9th stage, Sherfan cannot even touch the threshold to enter the 9th stage. Not reaching the final 9th stage means that Sherfan cannot complete the trial requirements and cannot obtain the additional rewards of the treasure refining inheritance. In Sherfan's heart, the mysterious powerhouse gifted to the inheritance of treasure refining is a powerful and terrifying, superpower level great existence. It is this great existence who has personally told himself that he may have completed the first stage of the qualification test of the inheritance of treasure refining before the age of 18. For this reason, over the past 18 years, Feng has been full of energy in his heart, working hard to learn and practice. Not only for rewards, but also to fight for one's breath. Send yourself to the power of devouring the starry sky world, say that you can do it, then you must do it yourself, and even he must do it in advance. These 18 years have been very difficult for Feng. For the past 18 years, there has been almost 24 hours of continuous rotation every day, with a top-of-the-line high school seniors living non-stop throughout the year. The spirit and body are constantly under the pressure of inheriting treasure refining. As the deadline for distance approaches, Feng's pressure becomes heavier and his mental state becomes more anxious, reaching the brink of collapse. Even so desperately. As a result, Feng suffered a heavy blow and he almost lost confidence in himself. Feng's remaining rationality told him that there were still 2 months left before the deadline, and he had to wait until his 18th birthday to collapse. Now he still had a chance and couldn't fall down on this. Before his reincarnation into this world, Feng was the world's top expert in materials science and a legendary scientist who achieved great success in China. With his intelligence and talent, he has gained countless honors and wealth in his past life. When he was young and full of energy, he suffered from a strange disease that was so severe that it destroyed his future. After a brief period of depression, he chose to confront the disease head-on. After a period of recovery, Feng returned to the forefront of important scientific research tasks and reignited the main beam of overcoming the difficulties of materials science. He has been fighting against strange diseases for over 30 years. He fought against heaven, he fought against fate, and with his strong will, Feng created a miracle in medicine. He snatched Yang Shou from the hands of Prince Yan and lived hard until the age of 61. When he was in his 50s, an unexpected incident occurred during the battle between Feng and Tiando. The strong stimulation caused Feng to be unconscious in the hospital bed for 3 years. When he woke up, he knew that his time was running out. After explaining the situation behind you. Not long after, Feng could no longer hold on and collapsed in his own study. Although Feng was unmarried in his previous life and had no children. But he didn't walk alone. Outside the study, there were hundreds of children adopted by his orphanage, all of whom were his own flesh and blood. In the study, there are his lifelong achievements and works, various books he cherished throughout his life, scientific materials on work, philosophical classics, theological classics, world literature works, and various novels he loved to read when he was a child. Perceiving oneself dying. Feng opened the aged wine that his father had collected for him, and he savored the wine he had wanted but dared not drink with all his life, flipping through his childhood favorite science fiction novels. Feng left this world with a smile on his face. Those who have fought with heaven for a lifetime will eventually be taken away by heaven. Perhaps good people have good karma. Feng arrived at his beloved world of devouring the starry sky as he wished. Started a new life here. In order to integrate into this new world, Feng attempted to live a life without relying on his past life experiences, forcibly lowering his intelligence and imitating every move of his adopted children, making himself appear like a real child rather than a reincarnated old fairy. In 18 years, no one noticed any flaws, and Feng concealed them very well. It was precisely through the complex and tumultuous experiences of his past life that Feng was able to withstand such a high pressure and difficult 18 years. In this magical world, the inheritance of treasure-making relies entirely on oneself, feeling the stones and crossing the river, self-studying with a closed head, and making countless attempts at forging. It is precisely Feng's ruthlessness towards himself. Feng progressed at an unimaginable speed, entering the 8th stage of the qualification test at the age of only 16. You should know the content of the 7th, 8th, and 9th stages. It is a completely unconventional forging method. This method can change the state of metal atoms through forging, break the metal bonds between metal atoms, forcibly embed each metal atom, and concentrate the volume of the metal. This method can improve the metal properties of forged iron blocks by many times. Feng has fully mastered the 8th stage and is able to concentrate metals 9 times. He has tested this metal and its performance is impressive. The data on metal strength, toughness, wear resistance, corrosion resistance, etc. are highly outrageous. In his past life, he used all technological means to manufacture many cutting-edge materials. These cutting-edge materials are all national treasures, but compared to the performance of 9 times iron can achieve comprehensive crushing level victories. The difference between the two cannot be calculated from within. This is only the concentrated iron in the 8th stage. The 9th stage is the ultimate, but it can concentrate metals 100 times. 9 times iron is already so powerful, and 100 times iron can probably be called divine iron. Feng has carefully calculated based on the information available online. Conservative estimation. 100 times iron can be used as the main material for SS-level weapons and equipment, and can even be used to manufacture SS-level weapons and equipment. SS-level and SSS-level weapons and equipment are the standard combat configuration for invincible god of war and powerful legislators. They use weapons of this level to fight, unleashing their full strength so that their weapons will not be easily damaged. It can be imagined how powerful the performance of 100 times iron is. The current stone fraction, not to mention being concentrated by 100 times, cannot even be concentrated by 9.1 times. He has been stuck in a bottleneck for 2 full years. So far, there is no clue. Feng has thought about many reasons. The most likely reason. It is necessary to awaken one's spiritual and intellectual abilities first. With the help of spiritual and intellectual abilities, one should be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort and break through in one fell swoop. After Feng found it difficult to make progress, he has been crazily laying a foundation in the past 2 years. Various special steels were manufactured using equipment. Practice from multiple angles and all directions. And make every effort to exercise and train, striving to awaken your spiritual and mental abilities as soon as possible. Every new type of steel, due to its different internal composition, means a brand new path of forging with 9 times the iron. So every time a new material is used, when Feng starts forging, he cannot directly forge it into 9 times iron. It takes a little progress to gradually master the 9 times iron forging method of this metal. In the past 2 years, Feng has mastered a total of 52 forging methods of 9 times iron, laying a solid foundation. There are still about 2 months left until my 18th birthday. Feng's physical fitness has approached the limit of a quasi-warrior's physical fitness. Feng can feel his recent abnormal physical sensations, which are a sign of a faint awakening of spiritual and mental power. He had a premonition that within at most 1 or 2 weeks, he would be able to fully awaken his mental and intellectual abilities. During these 1 or 2 weeks, Feng didn't dare to waste it, constantly practicing those 52 forging methods and exercising even more crazily. When Kuzhen began to review his homework, Feng was stunned. He trained all 52 forging methods in less than 3 hours. Each forging method consumes less than 1/3 of the time on average. It is this excessive proficiency that completely confuses and despairs Feng. He couldn't figure it out, he was already so strong, but he couldn't break through the limit of the 8th stage. Feng looked at the gradually cooling metal lumps in front of him. He gradually regained consciousness, put down his hammer, and rarely did he clean up the work area. He left the ground in a mess, his body gradually dissipating, and he left this special, virtual trial space. The virtual trial space is in Feng's sea of consciousness. He can enter that special, virtual trial space, through the golden ball of consciousness at the center of the ocean. Consciousness has a strong ability to recover in a virtual trial space. Taking a 10-minute break inside is more effective than sleeping outside for 8 hours. So even if he stays for 7 days and 7 nights, he won't feel tired working continuously. With this characteristic, Feng forces himself not to sleep, not to waste time on sleep, and to put in all his strength in order to break through as soon as possible. Feng has been working hard for 18 years. He is aware of the golden light ball at the center of the ocean, which usually releases energy at an extremely slow speed, gradually improving his physical fitness. If it weren't for such magical effects, Feng wouldn't practice forging every day, and even at the age of less than 18, he could approach the standard of a quasi-warrior by searching for books at www.zhaozuiyuan.com. If it weren't for his current poor strength, he would need to eat food to provide nutrition for his body. Otherwise, with Feng's desperate efforts, he would definitely stay inside and not come out at all. Feng's consciousness returned to his body and immediately opened his eyes to look at the time. It's only after 7 p.m. I won't continue forging tonight. Go out for a walk and relax. What Feng thinks in his heart is to relax appropriately. If he is lucky, he can awaken his mental and intellectual abilities earlier. After all, there are less than 2 months left, and he wants to use this last bit of time to challenge the 9th stage of 100-fold concentration. Luo Feng should be studying at this point, right? The economics materials I bought for Luo Hua have arrived, so I'll go take a stroll with them tonight. Feng glanced at the bedroom door, where there was a large stack of unopened parcels, and he immediately made up his mind. Feng picked up the large stack of parcels, pushed open the door, walked out, locked the door with one hand, and strode towards Luo Feng's house. He is only separated by a wall from the Luo Feng family. Feng walked a few steps before reaching the door of Luo Feng's house. With his free hand, he gently knocked on the door and shouted with a very familiar smile, "Uncle and Aunt, I am Feng. I have come to visit your house." Feng not only came to the world of Devouring the Starry Sky, but also happened to become a neighbor with Luo Feng. In these 18 years, the two really grew up side by side. Over the past 18 years of growing up in friendship, Feng and Luo Feng have become inseparable good brothers. Feng is not only a neighbor of Luo Feng, but the two were born on the same day. However, Luo Feng is about an hour older than Feng. Feng doesn't pay much attention to this. It's already a great opportunity for him to be reborn, how dare he expect anything else? Chapter 2. Eating at Luo Feng's house. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the door opens. Oh, it's Feng. Come and play, why do you still bring things? How embarrassing. The person who opened the door was Luo Feng's father, Luo Honghua. Seeing Feng, he politely invited him into the room. Hello uncle, I have recently earned a little money from forging, so I bought some economic materials for Luo Hua's younger brother. Luo Hua's younger brother has a very high talent in this field and cannot be neglected. Feng was extremely polite. I really admire Lao Shi. Not only is he talented, but he can also teach his 2 sons so well. Luo Honghua envies the neighboring Shi family very much. Although Feng still lives here, the other 3 no longer live here because Feng is about to take the college entrance examination and his family's new business is good. The other 3 have moved to another place, leaving Feng to study at home. Let Feng live alone, study in seclusion, and prepare for the college entrance examination. Luo Honghua was envious, and his own 2 sons were not much different in comparison. Luo Honghua pointed to the bedroom door and smiled. Luo Feng and Luo Hua are both in the bedroom. You can go straight over. By the way, we haven't eaten yet. Let's eat together tonight. Without waiting for Feng to answer, he turned his head towards the kitchen and said, Wife, Feng will eat at home tonight and cook 2 more dishes. Feng often came here to grab a meal, so he got used to it. So he smiled and said to Luo Honghua, who turned around and ran towards the kitchen. "Alright, I didn't have dinner tonight. I'll bother you two again." Gong Xinlan, who was cooking, heard something happening outside and leaned out to look at it. Just in time to see this scene, she couldn't help smiling at Shifeng and said with a smile, "Shifeng, you have a good taste. I cooked a large pot of braised pork belly in brown sauce at night, and I have to cook 2 more dishes. Now this order is not enough for you to eat." Ha ha ha. After speaking, he turned around and returned to the kitchen, busy with Luo Honghua. The couple of Luo Honghua and Gong Xinlan are very grateful to Shifeng. Shifeng doesn't have many friends, and coincidentally, their 2 children, Luo Feng and Luo Hua, are all good friends of Shifeng. Shifeng's attitude towards strangers is very impolite. The attitude towards friends and family is excellent. Their family later found out how terrifying it was to play with Shifeng in open crotch pants and Luo Feng. Shifeng's intelligence is extremely incredible. At a very young age, they were able to solve many advanced math problems that they couldn't recognize all their letters and symbols. They are well aware that if they hadn't grown up together since childhood, their children would not have been able to meet such friends. Most of these geniuses are very solitary and unapproachable, making it difficult to become friends with them. As he grew up, Shifeng was indeed very rude to outsiders and completely disliked dealing with them. Treating family and friends is different, with a completely different attitude. What they didn't know was that it was actually intentional by Shifeng. He deliberately designed a secluded persona to reduce many unnecessary troubles. Shifeng is very good to Luo Feng and Luo Hua. I love to help Luo Feng when I have nothing to do, solve math problems he doesn't know, and tutor Luo Feng in his homework. He treated Luo Hua the same way. But later on, Luo Hua had an accident, broke his legs, and didn't go to school. Tutoring his homework gradually became guiding Luo Hua. The time when Luo Hua had an accident. The Shifeng family not only put in a lot of effort, but also borrowed a lot of money to save the emergency. Shifeng also helped Luo Hua, allowing him to break free from his psychological shadow and start searching for things he likes. Later, Luo Hua gradually showed his talent in economics, and Shifeng immediately brought a bunch of related books to let Luo Hua learn. Luo Hua studied with great interest, and gradually had new goals in life. This completely relieved the couple's suspended hearts. Shifeng not only brought many books to Luo Hua. Shifeng directly transformed into a young teacher, teaching Luo Hua economics. Every time Luo Hua has a question he doesn't understand, Shifeng can almost answer it without thinking about it. By the way, we can also use examples to illustrate and teach. They have listened to Shifeng's class, but they can't understand it at all. Seeing Luo Hua's sudden realization, they knew that Shifeng was truly smart as a demon. They cannot touch the realm of knowledge of Shifeng. They can see the character of Shifeng. When Luo Hua achieved success in his studies, Shifeng secretly lent him 30,000 yuan to practice stock trading in the stock market. When the couple found out about this, they were really taken aback. 30,000 yuan is not a small amount for both of them. They are afraid that the money was stolen by Shifeng, which may cause some family conflict for the 2 families. Knowing this, the couple didn't even ask Luo Hua about it. Hurry up and go to the Shi family to ask Lao Shi. If they don't ask, they won't know. They were startled when asked. They just realized that more than half of the money of the Shi family is in the hands of Shifeng. With the knowledge of economics that Shifeng taught Luo Hua, his family's savings in the stock market have increased many times. Now, Shifeng is the person who makes the most money in the Shi family. It's the pillar of the family. That 30,000 is just a small part of Shifeng's own small treasury. Who hears this kind of thing, who doesn't understand? After Luo Honghua returned home, he immediately went to find Luo Hua and wanted to inquire about this matter. He quickly returned the money to Shifeng. When asked about Luo Hua, Luo Honghua was completely confused. Shifeng had already paid back the 30,000 yuan, and now Luo Hua still has 70,000 to 80,000 yuan in his account. The money in Luo Hua's account is more than the combined savings of the two of them. Originally, Luo Hua planned to raise a whole 100,000 yuan and have his brother withdraw cash to surprise his parents. Being unexpectedly discovered, Luo Hua was somewhat disappointed. Luo Hua felt lost in his heart, and Luo Honghua and Gong Xinlan felt like cursing in their hearts. What kind of thing is this? My own disabled youngest son, who lives in a stable family and is not old enough, earns more money in a year than the two of them combined. Who can accept it? That night at the Luo family, the atmosphere was very eerie. However, after that, Luo Hua also stopped hiding and gave a lot of money to his parents to improve his living environment. I renovated my home and made a small partition in the living room. The couple no longer have to sleep on the sofa at night, and the pressure of work has decreased significantly. Their childhood is like that of the Shi family, becoming increasingly prosperous. After experiencing so many things, what is the reason why Luo Honghua and his wife don't like Shi Feng? Moreover, Shi Feng is the godson that the two of them recognized early on. My godson often comes to eat, they love it so much. Shi Feng is a bit afraid of the butterfly effect. He pays very little attention to anything related to Luo Feng himself and is afraid of affecting him too much. But when it comes to dealing with the people around Luo Feng, his courage is much greater. Only by experiencing Luo Hua firsthand, immersing himself in the situation, and experiencing it firsthand, can we know how difficult Luo Hua's life is and how melancholic it is. In the book, Luo Hua is just a character shaped by words. In Shi Feng's life, Luo Hua is a real family member. Not my own brother, better than my own brother. How can a brother bear to see his brother suffer? So, he took extra care of Luo Hua. He and Luo Feng are good brothers, and their relationship is also excellent. Since Luo Hua was born, he has treated him as his own younger brother. Even in some aspects, Shi Feng treats Luo Hua much more kindly than he treats Luo Feng. Shi Feng saw his godfather and godmother both entering the kitchen, and then took a slight step into the bedroom. Luo Hua, this is the book I have selected for you, which can help you improve your economic theory. Shi Feng smiled and handed a large stack of parcels to Luo Feng, who stood up to greet him. Shi Feng took out his phone and sent a text message to his parents, telling them to have dinner at Luo's house tonight. Luo Hua no longer stared at the computer screen. Seeing that Shi had finished distributing the text message, he immediately affectionately said to Shi Feng, "Brother, thank you." Shi Feng smiled slightly at Luo Hua, glanced at the computer screen he had previously looked at, and exclaimed in surprise, "You're good at choosing this stock." Luo Hua chuckled and proudly said to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, "You can't be bad at teaching. I've been watching this stock for many days, and I might be able to close the net tonight." You can talk to my brother first. I need to keep an eye on it tonight, but I can't let the big fish run away. As for Luo Feng, he placed the package on his desk, dismantled it 3 times, threw all the garbage into a bag, and temporarily stacked all the books on his desk. Seeing that his younger brother didn't ask Shi Feng any economic questions he didn't understand, Luo Feng couldn't help but feel delighted and smiled. "Oh, Shi Feng, you're here at the right time. Can you help me take a look at this question? I've been studying it for a while, but I still can't figure it out in the end." Shi Feng glanced at the problem and suddenly came up with several solutions in his mind. He chuckled lightly and immediately chose the most suitable solution for Luo Feng. He spoke up and began to explain. Luo Feng listened carefully and nodded continuously. With the help of Shi Feng, his previously incomplete problem-solving ideas suddenly became clear. That night, Shi Feng was very happy and had a big appetite, eating a few bowls of rice. Luo Hua didn't come to the table to eat in order to keep an eye on the stocks. Luo Feng helped him prepare a meal. Luo Hua stared at the computer screen and, due to being too focused, didn't even know what he was eating after dinner. After finishing his meal, Luohua saw his brother coming to help him collect the plates, and then weakly asked. "Brother, what did you eat tonight? I didn't pay attention just now. Can you make some more for me? I'm not full." Luo Feng. Late at night, Shifeng lay in bed. He hasn't enjoyed the pleasure of sleep for a long time, and tonight he decided to rest well and not think about trying again. Shifeng slowly closed his eyes, gradually relaxed his body, let go of his consciousness, and gradually fell asleep. Chapter 3. Perfect Feather Short Sword, Revised. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the next day, after 9 o'clock in the morning. Shifeng woke up leisurely from his sleep and got out of bed, stretching comfortably. He is completely unwilling to sleep for the qualification test, and he feels that sleep is a waste of time. Last night, in order to completely relax my mind and relieve the internal pressure of my soul, I was willing to sleep in comfortably. Upon waking up, the sun had already risen 3 times. After waking up, Shifeng slowly brushed his teeth while pondering what to do today. It's been a long time since I went to the studio. Let's go to the studio this morning, Shifeng made a decision in his heart. Luo Feng is preparing for the college entrance examination and is busy every day, so he cannot disturb him. Luo Hua is definitely going to read books today. The books he gave yesterday were quite a few, and Shifeng won't disturb Luo Hua's studies now. The best way to go out and relax is to visit the studio. The highest-end orders of the studio require Shifeng to complete. Perhaps the current studio has already received such orders. Shi Tai never actively urged Shifeng to come over in order not to disturb him. Plus, Shifeng is very conscious and usually comes to the studio every 2 to 3 weeks. Even if Shifeng is very busy this month, he will definitely come over at the end of the month. So Shi Tai is very reassuring about Shifeng. Let Shifeng do whatever he likes. Moreover, Shifeng's strength will soon reach the level of a quasi-warrior. The whole family is now coming from Shifenghu, regardless of whether he takes the college entrance examination or not. Shifenghu will do whatever he likes. They are completely indifferent to Shifeng's daily life. I only hope that Shifeng can reach the level of a quasi-warrior soon. With Shifeng's current proficiency in swordsmanship, participating in the actual combat assessment for martial artists is a sure way to pass. At that time, they don't need to buy a house and can move directly into Minghua community. How fragrant it is. After washing up, Shifeng glanced at the date on his phone. April 16, 2056. He feels his head buzzing with melon seeds, the pressure is immense. In less than 2 months, he will be celebrating his 18th birthday. If the task cannot be completed ahead of schedule, the additional rewards will be gone. In a few years, Luo Feng will be in contact with the universe. Time is urgent. Shifeng didn't want a reward that was close at hand, so he just drifted away. Recently, as the date approached, Shifeng became even crazier. He believes that additional rewards can definitely help him get in touch with the universe. Any drop of hair on the boss's body would be a remarkable fortune for Shifeng now. So, Shifeng is very eager for extra rewards. Shifeng sighed helplessly and started making his own breakfast. 4 slices of bread, 2 fried eggs, and a glass of milk. Having eaten all the food, Shifeng felt a lot refreshed. Stepping out of the crowded Nanan community, Shifeng raced all the way towards the studio. Although Shifeng is a petty bourgeois, he can take a taxi. Shifeng is more interested in activities. I stay at home every day, although I exercise my physical fitness every day. After all, it's at home, and it's rare for Shifeng to come out, so he will definitely walk slowly. 10.03, Shifeng arrived at the studio. The studio completely imitated the style of the virtual trial space and carried out exquisite decoration. In order to decorate this place well, lazy person Sherfan had to walk out of the door every day and often come to check the progress of the decoration. Building this studio almost completely empties the small treasury of Sherfan. The results are very significant. Anyone who comes here will feel like they have entered the future world of technology. Spending money is worth it. Sher Tai was organizing the tool display cabinet when he heard a sound and turned around to see Sherfan walking in calmly. How come my son has free time to take a stroll? He doesn't need to close up anymore, Sher Tai joked. Sherfan rolled his eyes silently in his heart and said to himself, if I hadn't closed my door, I would have been overjoyed now. Who would have come here? Sherfan said helplessly, Dad, I'm here to see if there are any orders that I need to handle. Although Sher Tai joked about Sherfan, he took his work very seriously. Seeing Sherfan discussing work, his expression suddenly became a bit serious. There is an order for the perfect feather pattern short sword that I cannot handle. This customer requires a completely symmetrical feather pattern, and I have tried it several times, but the one I made has flaws. It's better for you to do it. Okay. After giving a simple answer to Sher Tai, Sherfan didn't intend to chat and ran into the forging room as if he had escaped. Sher Tai's reaction to Sherfan was not surprising at all. The perfect feather patterned weapon is Sherfan's favorite weapon to forge. When faced with such orders, Sherfan always does this. I can't wait to complete it. If there are no such orders for 2 to 3 months, Sherfan will directly craft a few pieces of this type of weapon to relieve the addiction to manual labor. Haha, I didn't expect such an unexpected gain today. Sherfan is very satisfied with this order. Forging in real life is much more interesting than in a virtual trial space. Because the auxiliary abilities of those tools are too excellent, unless forging concentrated iron, using various tools can quickly complete tasks without any forging fun or sense of achievement. In real life, it's different. In reality, the tools used for forging are relatively poor, which tests personal abilities such as skills and eyesight. With the addition of perfect feather patterned weapons, precision is particularly tested. The perfect feather patterned weapon, the final product is a perfect artificial feather, more perfect than any feather in nature. The feather patterns forged from Sherfan are perfectly symmetrical and without any flaws. Even the most severe cases of obsessive-compulsive disorder cannot find any faults. Sherfan skillfully lit the stove, changed into a forging suit, put on a mask, and opened fixed cameras at various angles. Start forging. Sherfan chose 2 types of thinner premium steel plates. One is high carbon steel, and the other is low carbon steel. Forging the 2 together will allow the metal to exhibit color differences and patterns. Start the metal cutting machine and start cutting the steel plate, cutting out thin sheets of the same size one by one. Clean the metal sheets completely, arrange them in intervals, weld them together, and then weld a handle on one end of the metal block. After completing these, Sherfan sends the metal blocks into the furnace and heats them until they reach the specified temperature. Preparation work completed. Forging officially begins. Sherfan put on insulated gloves with his left hand, held the handle of the metal block, took out the burnt red metal block from the furnace, and placed it on a specially made iron felt. With his right hand holding the handle of the giant hammer, Sherfan lifted his arm and lifted the uniquely shaped and oversized hammer into the air, then fiercely smashed it onto the iron block. The burnt iron block instantly flattened a lot. If someone carefully observes, the degree of flatness of this metal block is exactly the same, as if it has been pressed by a hydraulic forging device. The power control ability of Sherfan is extremely powerful, and this is just a small test with a bull's edge. Sherfan flipped the metal continuously, almost without any hesitation, hammering it one after another. Occasionally pause slightly, sprinkle some borax powder on the metal surface or reheat the metal block. The metal block constantly changes its shape until it becomes a relatively flat metal block. Sherfan lowers the temperature of the metal block, completely cools it, cuts it into several parts, welds them again, and then sends them back into the furnace for heating. After heating, continue pounding until the metal block becomes slightly flattened again. Feng sends flat metal blocks into the furnace for heating. Feng patiently waited by and saw the metal block turn golden red again. He reached out to grab the handle and placed the iron block emitting strong heat on the pressure cutting machine. Feng slightly retreated and confirmed that the centerlines of the two completely coincide without any deviation. So he reached out and started the machine. Under the drive of hydraulic pressure, the pressure cutting machine uses a thin axe blade to cut most of the hot iron block into two halves. Feng couldn't help but rejoice at the smooth division. Pick up the metal block that blooms on the head, place it on the iron felt and continue forging. This time, he hammered lightly and slowly. Carefully close the flowering part. After the closure is completed, the hammer for the stone is still very light, accompanied by the tinkling sound in the forging room. The sword embryo gradually completed. The overall length of the sword embryo is 31 centimeters, the length of the blade is 21 centimeters, and the width of the blade is 2 centimeters. Feng will use a sword handle made from a monster's unicorn and install it at the tail of the sword embryo. This is a craft-grade sword handle sent by the customer. Without the need for additional sword hilts, the tranquility of Feng. In just a few minutes, Feng installed the hilt of the sword. After completing all the auxiliary processes such as polishing, cutting, and pickling, a shiny feather-patterned short sword was perfectly crafted in Feng's hand. Before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Feng completed the final process of the short sword. The efficiency of stone separation is very fast. It took less than 3 hours. For the current Feng, this small task is impossible to fail. So the speed of stone separation can be incredibly fast. For Feng, creating this kind of gadget is really like shooting mosquitoes with a cannon. What a waste of talent. However, this little thing not only satisfies the desire for forging stone parts, but also earns a considerable income. The current price is unclear. In the earliest days, a customized weapon like this cost over 80,000 yuan. The things forged from stone shards are works of art, which are very worthwhile for wealthy collectors to pursue as art collectibles. This type of high-quality cutting tool is not something that anyone is willing to use, and is usually placed in an exhibition cabinet. This perfect feather-patterned sword blade, if even a little bit of the blade breaks, its value will be greatly reduced. Reset everything inside the forging chamber. Feng left the forging room with a short sword in hand. As soon as Feng left the forging room, he saw Wei Wen in the hall, commanding the unloading of goods. Could you please stack these pig iron blocks neatly in the warehouse? After unloading, I will treat everyone to lunch. Wei Wen smiled and instructed the movers to unload the goods. Upon hearing Wei Wen's words, the 3 porters who were unable to have lunch due to these pig iron lumps immediately smiled and became more serious in releasing the pig iron blocks, arranging them neatly in 4 directions. Hey, Wei Wen, what are you doing here? Don't you need to review? Broke up and held a short sword, quietly walking to Wei Wen's side from the book garden www.zhaozhuiyuan.com. Wei Wen noticed that there was suddenly another person around him, who was still holding a sword in his hand. He was startled and saw that it was Feng holding a short sword, which made him feel relieved. Wei Wen didn't answer Feng's question and joked. Why are you like a ghost, walking silently, holding a sword and standing beside me? I thought someone was going to assassinate me. Faced with Wei Wen's teasing, Feng felt speechless and said helplessly, I've always been silent when I walk. This sword is just forged by me, how can I give it to my dad if I don't hold it? Wei Wen looked at the sword in breakup and his eyes suddenly became straight. He snatched it from breakup and his eyes seemed to grow on it. He was surprised and said, Did you forge this? Seeing Wei Wen holding his sword, he flipped it over and looked at it. Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes and asked, Did you forge it? Wei Wen suddenly stopped speaking and returned the sword to Feng, stuttering, I used to think that this kind of sword was forged by my uncle, but I didn't expect it to be forged by you. I only now know that your forging ability is the strongest. You must be so strong and teach me such a stupid disciple, it must be very. Feng interrupted Wei Wen's words and took the sword from his hand. He patted Wei Wen's shoulder and comforted him, saying, Why do we talk about this between our two brothers? Don't be discouraged, your talent is much better than mine. In less than 2 years, you have made such great progress, which is already very good. If you practice for another 2 or 3 years, you will be able to manufacture ordinary knives. At that time, you will be our 3-stone forging master. All works will be sold here and the income will belong to you. As long as you persist, you will soon succeed. You know, the two of us are pure iron brothers, Luo Feng doesn't even have the two of us iron. Chapter 4. Opportunities and Breakthroughs, Revised. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Wei Wen knew in his heart that it was Feng comforting himself. Compared to Tian, one's own talent is actually almost the same. However, I still feel proud in my heart. In high school, still in the 3rd year of high school, with just a little leisure time on weekends, learning and forging, I have made great progress. Due to Feng's seclusion, Wei Wen's forging was changed to Tian as the main instructor. Changing teachers did not hinder Wei Wen's rapid progress. A few weeks ago, he followed Tian and learned how to forge rough weapons using refined steel. During his solitary practice, he unexpectedly succeeded once. The rough weapon of Wei Wen's lucky success was directly taken over by Tian, who continued to forge and produce a beautiful short sword. Although the short knife does not have a birth certificate, it was listed for sale on Sancher, and still sold at a high price of 600 Huaxia coins. This 600 yuan was not left by Tian, he directly deposited it into Wei Wen's account. The unexpected income strengthened Wei Wen's determination to learn forging. In Tianyan's eyes, Wei Wen, the disciple, is very intelligent, and coupled with being Feng's good friend, he teaches very seriously. The conditions that Wei Wen enjoys now are much better than he did back then. With the guidance of a famous teacher at his fingertips, can he make rapid progress. Tian's forging ability is completely inferior to Feng's forging level. But Tian's forging ability now is much higher than the stone iron he was taught to forge when he was a child. The importance of a good teacher is unparalleled. 2 teachers, one strong and one weak, teach disciples with the same talent. Nature is a skilled teacher, and the disciples taught are even more skilled. In this way, Wei Wen was able to make rapid progress at a pace far exceeding that of Tian back then. Wei Wen not only has talent, but also is very hardworking and trains very diligently. Whenever he has time, he will come here to learn forging. I often practice until my hands shake and I can't even pick up chopsticks. Tian saw Wei Wen training so hard and directly controlled his diet during the training period. He made a lot of beef for Wei Wen to help him supplement nutrition and regulate his body. Tianyue taught him and appreciated this little brother. When he found out that Wei Wen had accidentally crafted a rough weapon embryo, he was shocked. Then he no longer regarded Wei Wen as his disciple, but as his future partner, the forging master of the future, 3 stones, and the backbone of the future, 3 stones. Tian shared this idea with Tai. Tai strongly agrees with this idea and believes that considering the future in advance is a good choice. The two of them made a very unscrupulous decision, treating Wei Wen as a little white mouse and taking this opportunity to plan ahead for the future of the 3 stones. So, without knowing it, Wei Wen became the experimental subject of the 3 stones, fully cultivating the subject and allocating resources to quickly cultivate into a forging master of the 3 stones. With the full supply of resources, guidance from renowned teachers, outstanding talents, and personal efforts, Wei Wen's blacksmith skills have made rapid progress. Feng knows about this matter. That's why Wei Wen was curious about ordering so much pig iron. Feng's comforting words seemed to have really put Wei Wen into a state of floating and carefree. A happy heart is better than a happy heart. Feng touched Wei Wen's arm with his hand and said with a smile, "It's good for you to learn forging with refined steel, isn't it? Why order so much pig iron?" Wei Wen was no longer proud of his progress and smiled slightly, saying, "I don't think I have my own foundation. It's not very good, so I made some pig iron and plan to do my best to solidify it. For me now, the best material for practicing forging is pig iron. I use precision steel too early. I plan to use the holiday after the college entrance examination to practice all these tons of pig iron. By then, my forging foundation will definitely improve a lot." This statement is unintentional to the speaker but intentional to the listener. These words were like thunder, constantly echoing in Feng's mind. Feng suddenly realized. He understood. Why is he stuck in the 8th stage? 2 years of time, without any savings. This is all strange, that sentence from the 3rd stage. To have the ability to concentrate metals 100 times, it is necessary to use the best iron as the raw material and temper it to the level of the star C pattern before continuing with metal concentration. It is this sentence that Feng misunderstood due to the influence of his past life. What he understood was to use the best quality steel as raw material, temper it to the level of star C pattern, and continue forging. For this purpose, he used various materials on the raw material table to manufacture 52 types of high-quality special steel. He put in a lot of effort to try forging and mastered the 9-fold concentrated forging of 52 metals. After understanding, Feng felt so foolish. The 3rd stage is clearly the transformation and forging of the mortal world. Isn't Fan referring to pig iron? In the virtual trial space, the pig iron produced is an alloy of iron and carbon, with no other impurities. Feng was foolish and made 52 types of high-quality special steel. Although it is only necessary to forge a dual-element alloy, it increases the difficulty for oneself to forge a multi-element alloy. Isn't this something that one cannot find enjoyable for oneself? Feng forcibly increased the difficulty of the trial for himself. Although wrought iron only contains iron element, it is too soft and not suitable for forging. Extreme forging usually starts with pig iron. Let's talk about Feng. He forged all 52 multi-element alloys to the level of 9 times metal concentration and was extremely skilled. Let's say he's smart, he hasn't figured out anything like this. Feng was stunned for a few seconds. Thinking through the key issue, Feng dropped a sentence. Wei Wen, you can eat whatever you want for lunch, just go to a 5-star hotel. I'll reimburse you. No matter how Wei Wen reacted, he ran back to the forging room with his short sword in hand. Wei Wen looked bewildered, unsure of what had happened. Wei Wen had a slight understanding of Feng's strangeness and vaguely felt that his own words had inspired Feng, which was why he was like this. So Wei Wen stopped getting entangled in this matter and continued to command the unloading. After completing the unloading, Wei Wen took the workers to the small restaurant that Wei Wen often went to. The taste of this small restaurant was very good and the price was also very affordable. His parents occasionally brought him here to improve the food. Wei Wen ordered a lot of hard dishes and had a hearty meal with the workers. Wei Wen is not a spoiled person, he has his own principles for doing things. His parents attach great importance to tutoring and have taught him from a young age. The most important thing in life is to be humble and cautious, and to guard against arrogance and impatience, no matter when or where. Wei Wen did the same. The 3 stones have already helped him too much. As the apprentice of Sanshi, what he eats and uses at Sanshi every day is free, without him having to spend money. The people of Sanshi are extremely friendly to him, even the cameramen of Sanshire are very polite to him. Wei Wen is now a member of the Three Stones, and as long as he works hard, he will definitely be the forging master of the Three Stones in the future. Even if Wei Wen didn't know what he had helped Shi Feng, it was because his brother Shi Feng was so excited that he received an inexplicable reward from Shi Feng. For Wei Wen, a 5-star hotel with high luxury consumption is an outrageous place. He has indeed obtained Shi Feng's permission, and he can indeed go. But his conscience doesn't allow him to go. How dare you treat your family like this? He doesn't even want to pay for this meal with 3 stones. The 600 yuan he earned before is enough. He only feels at ease when he spends the money he earns himself. However, he didn't spend this 600 with much peace of mind. After all, it was Shi Tian's skill. He was just an outsider who had hit the jackpot. Shi Feng entered the forging room, locked the door from the inside, and entered the rest compartment. He lay on the bed, preparing to enter the virtual trial space. He lay in bed, feeling extremely excited. After lying for more than 10 minutes, his mind calmed down and his consciousness was able to enter the virtual trial space. He picked up a 30-centimeter square piece of pig iron from the raw material table. This raw iron block weighs over 200 kilograms, but with a physical fitness of over 800 kilograms of fist power, Shi Feng didn't put much effort and moved the raw iron block onto the forging table. Open the forging table, and the pig iron blocks slowly sink under the lifting platform of the forging table, entering the interior of the forging table for uniform heating. Shi Feng walked back and forth in front of the forging table, holding a large, oscillating hammer, showing his excitement. The burnt red pig iron block slowly rises in the forging area of the forging table. Anxiously waiting on the side, Shi Feng, who was spinning back and forth, saw the raw iron block completely rising. The stone is divided into a heavy hammer. With just one hammer, the oxide residue on the surface of the pig iron block fell off completely, and the pig iron block did not deform at all, but became brighter and brighter. Shi Feng gently hammered the top of the side of the raw iron block, causing it to flip over. When the raw iron block was completely stable, another heavy hammer struck. The raw iron block has brightened up a bit again. Then, with a gentle hammer, the raw iron block continued to roll over. When the raw iron block stabilize, another heavy blow comes. Shi Feng struck the 6 sides of the raw iron block in the order he remembered, repeatedly using a vibrating hammer and taking turns to strike hard. The intelligence of the forging table will select the appropriate time to clean up the residue of the fallen iron blocks. Shi Feng doesn't need to pay attention to anything else, just repeat the wheel hammer and focus on forging. A heavy hammer fell one after another, and the iron block became brighter and brighter, emitting more and more light and heat. It feels like sweating hot, with residue constantly appearing on its surface and being constantly shaken off. Its shape has not changed, but its volume is gradually shrinking. Shi Feng uses the most advanced forging technology. With the shock hammer, he does not need to follow the steps and can directly forge the raw iron block to the star C pattern stage. Save a lot of time. When the iron block is as bright as a star, the stone component changes the forging method. Start tapping each of the 8 corners of the raw iron blocks one by one. As the blocks deform, their volume gradually decreases and their brightness gradually decreases. Shi Feng felt the changes in the metal with his heart, listened to its thoughts, and subconsciously kept swinging his hammer. The volume of the cast iron block gradually decreases. Double the size. Double the size. Reduce by 3 times. Reduce by 9 times. At this moment, Shi Feng was unaware that the volume of the raw iron block in front of him had already increased 9 times. He was completely immersed in the forging state, following the feeling, his eyes fixed on the metal block, unconsciously rotating the hammer. With one hammer, the volume decreases by 9.3 times. The bottleneck that troubled him finally broke through at this moment. But this is not his limit. He is still spinning the hammer crazily. Reduce by 10 times. Shrink by 11 times. Shrink by 12 times. With a single hammer, the metal block became increasingly dull and began to become smooth, as if the stone was forging a solid metal ball. Feng has completely given up autonomous guidance and completely let himself go, allowing this peculiar feeling to dominate his body. At this point, forging relies entirely on subconscious swinging of the hammer. Looking for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, Feng is like an observer at this moment. Consciousness is completely off duty, and he doesn't need to bother forging it. The state of Fengju is 100 times more precious than metal concentration. The current Feng is desperately memorizing this state. When Feng completely enters this state, the metal is once again crazily concentrated. Shrink by 20 times. Shrink by 20.1 times. Reduce by 33 times. When the volume of the metal is concentrated to 33 times, the metal block completely turns into a ball. The oscillating hammer strikes the ball and no longer deforms. No matter how you strike, it is always a perfect spherical shape. The brightness of the ball became increasingly dim, and its volume began to accelerate and condense. Shrink by 40 times. Reduce by 50 times. Shrink by 60 times. Until it shrinks by 100 times. At this moment, Feng stopped swinging the hammer and unconsciously lowered his arm with the hammer. The metal ball completely cooled down, as if concentrating its volume, consuming all of its heat. The metal ball became dark and stayed quietly on the table, as if it was growing on top. Feng's consciousness, frantically remembering his previous feelings, completely fell into an epiphany. His consciousness was completely closed, and he lost his ability to perceive the outside world. Feng didn't know that he had already completed extreme forging, and the most difficult metal was concentrated 100 times. In front of him is the 100 times iron that he has long dreamed of. Feng stood there in a daze. There was no response. Consciousness is completely immersed in enlightenment. Feng's mind is completely immersed in the forging just now. Feng is in a magical place, repeating the forging process over and over again, as if there is no end to it forever. Chapter 5. The stone fraction was squeezed dry, revised. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, I don't know how long it has been. Feng's consciousness gradually awakened and he regained control over his body. He placed the hammer in his hand on the forging table, reached out to pick up the black metal ball, and held it in the palm of his hand to carefully observe. Ha! It's quite heavy. He didn't expect that the metal ball, which was one circle larger than his fist, would weigh around 200 kilograms. 200 kilograms. Feng suddenly awakened, and his heart reacted. I seem to have succeeded. This metal ball was not forged by Feng's ability, he is not sure how many times it has been concentrated. Whether pig iron has been concentrated 100 times or not is uncertain for Feng. The virtual trial space has auxiliary detection equipment that can accurately measure the exact concentration value. This testing equipment is the answer sheet for the qualification test of Feng. Now there is only the answer to limit forging with 100-fold concentration. At the moment of submission, Feng felt very nervous. He knew in his heart that the metal ball had high strength and would not be damaged, but his hands holding the metal ball were still duoli dwasuo. He carefully placed the metal ball into the testing equipment, nervously opened it, and anxiously waited for the result of the test paper. 100-fold concentration. On the screen of the detection device, 4 words suddenly appeared. It's done. After 18 years of hard work, Feng has finally achieved results today. Before Feng could be happy, he saw the virtual trial space, like a shattered mirror, with countless cracks shining with golden light, looking like it was about to shatter. And then Feng was forcibly thrown out. Consciousness has returned to the body. Damn it, what's that? Sherfan fiercely opened his eyes, sat up from the bed, and couldn't help roast. Sherfan moved his body and took a cold breath. Hiss. Sherfan felt powerless all over, as if all his strength had been drained. The gentle lifting of his hand was incredibly difficult. Sherfan sat stiff on the bed, afraid to move around for a moment. Sherfan's body was too weak, as if he had been hungry for many days and had collapsed from hunger. Why are you so weak? Sherfan was just able to sit up, completely relying on the inertia of consciousness. Sherfan is now moving his body and can only try to move a little bit, not daring to move too aggressively. Sherfan looked at the time and was immediately dumbfounded. At 15:26 on April 19, 2056. I've been inside for so long, this sudden realization is terrifying. If I had to wait a few more days and starve my body to death, then I would really be in big trouble. Sherfan felt very scared in his heart. This time entering the virtual consciousness space, I almost played myself to death. Ka. Just as Sherfan was moving his body, he suddenly heard a slight crisp sound coming from his head. The surface of the golden light sphere in the Shifenshi Sea is constantly cracking, with even more dazzling golden light shining in the cracks. Bang! Tightly pressed, accompanied by a loud bang in the sea of consciousness. The golden light ball exploded completely, and my mind seemed like a balloon. The explosion of the golden light ball seemed to increase the total amount of gas inside the balloon, and my whole mind was forcefully stretched a bit. Countless golden fragments, like explosive fragments of a bomb, spread towards the edge of the mind with the shock wave of the explosion. The golden fragments reaching the edge are transformed into golden airflow, filling the newly added void area. Along with the previous white area, the entire mind is rendered golden. The explosion echoed in Sherfan's mind. The body shape of Sherfan's active body instantly solidifies. With that explosion, a warm current surged out of the brain. After the warm current came out of the head, it instantly turned into countless streams, rushing towards the limbs and internal organs. This warm current has a magical healing power, and the feeling of physical weakness caused by hunger is instantly swept away. Warm currents fill every part of Sherfan's body, and mysterious powers blend into every part of his body. Under the baptism of mysterious powers, Sherfan's bones, organs, blood, muscles, skin, and nerves are all undergoing crazy evolution. The body seems to be undergoing minor adjustments, gradually erasing the dark wounds. Some scars on the skin disappear instantly, and the skin becomes delicate and smooth. Bones become hard. Muscles become more flexible and powerful. The flexibility of the organs is stronger. The body shape has undergone a slight change, and the proportion is incredibly perfect. Every cell is constantly undergoing changes. In just a few minutes of change, the improved physical fitness is much stronger than Sherfan's 18 years of exercise results. Sherfan felt like he was soaking in a hot spring, with every part of his body warm and comfortable, seeping into his bones. Ah! Sherfan hummed comfortably with a light body. When all the comfort fades away. Sherfan slowly opened his eyes, feeling that the world was different. The world has become clearer. Senses such as hearing, vision, and smell have been significantly improved. Glancing around the house, the black dust spots on the white walls were clearly visible. Sherfan's gaze fell on the water glass next to the table. He hadn't drunk water for a few days and wanted to drink some water. Sherfan's heart twitched slightly, and an invisible force instantly controlled the water cup. Surprisingly, the cup slowly suspended and floated in front of him. I actually awakened my spiritual and mental abilities. After a slight thought, Sherfan realized that the improvement of sensory ability is not just the divine effect of spiritual and mental power. Sherfan picked up the suspended water cup and took a light sip. Sherfan's mind moved and his gaze swept over various furniture in the room. Suddenly, all the tables, chairs, coffee tables, sofas, stools, and other items in the room were suspended. Under the control of Feng, there are ups and downs. It's quite interesting. Quickly, Feng adapted to this feeling. His gaze was once again focused on the water cup, his mental energy acting on it. The cup suspended again, and Feng controlled it, flying back and forth inside the room. Feng enjoys playing tirelessly and feels extremely fun. After playing for more than 10 minutes, the water cup fell onto Feng's hand. Feng took a big sip this time, and after finishing, he controlled the water glass and placed it on the table, muttering to himself, "Spiritual and mental power is really a good thing. When used for forging, it will definitely greatly improve the success rate." After a brief summary, Fengpan sat on the bed, slowly closing his eyes, and his consciousness entered the sea of consciousness, observing the changes in the sea of consciousness. Because he was kicked out, Feng didn't know what had happened in Shihai just now. He needs to go in and take a good look now. The current sea of consciousness has completely become a golden ocean, with 9 dark golden spheres sinking and floating in the golden ocean, slowly floating up and down, like 9 buoys. Above the sea, there hangs an octagonal black mirror. Feng's spiritual power dissipated as he scanned the black mirror, which seemed like a phantom. In the sea of consciousness, there is silence, as if a mirror has never appeared before. Feng suddenly opened his eyes. "It's okay, I thought my treasure was gone." Seeing the black mirror floating in front of me, I looked for Feng at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com and felt relieved. Feng was speechless about this in his heart. Every time something developed, it would surprise him. This tormenting contrast was too uncomfortable. It seems that the big shot likes to torture people a bit. Feng murmured in his heart, touching the mirror with his hand. "Oh my," Feng exclaimed in pain. I saw this black octagonal mirror, for some unknown reason, instantly cutting through Feng's palm, and a large amount of blood continuously flowing out of Feng's palm. The mirror is like a sponge, crazily drawing blood from the stones. Feng felt a dizzy sensation in front of him. "It's not good. There's too much bleeding," Feng exclaimed inwardly. Feng's hand, which was originally holding the mirror, instantly loosened. The mirror seemed to grow on Feng's hand, tightly pressing against his palm, absorbing a large amount of Feng's blood, and the speed at which it was drawn was getting faster and faster. Feng felt a bit dark in front of him, and a wave of drowsiness hit him. He felt like he couldn't hold on anymore. He exerted all his strength, shook his hand hard, and wanted to shake off the mirror. Unfortunately, it's not of much use. The mirror firmly adhered to Feng's hand. No matter how hard he struggled, he remained unmoved, with an unwavering attitude of not sucking away Feng. Done. Feng's consciousness was completely plunged into darkness. After Feng fell into a coma, the speed of the mirror's blood sucking increased instead of decreasing, completely draining Feng's blood. Even after draining the blood, the mirror continued to devour it crazily. Feng's body, visible to the naked eye, completely turned into a human trunk just a few seconds later. Amazingly, Feng turned into a human trunk and did not die, but rather remained in a deep coma. After falling into a deep coma, a brief 18-year rebirth flashed in Feng's mind. Chapter 6. Family and Friends, Revised. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, at the moment of Feng's death. Feng instantly recalled his life, his family and friends, and this unfortunate inheritance. In this life, I don't have many relatives and friends, and the closest ones are only 6. Father, mother, brother, Luo Feng, Luo Hua, and Wei Wen are 3 good brothers. Then there are the elders of the Luo and Wei families. My father in this lifetime is called Tai, now possessing the strength of intermediate martial arts school students. When Tai was very young, he followed his father to learn blacksmith skills. Mr. Shi is a highly intelligent person who, with his own intelligence, has mastered the pseudo-pattern steel forging technology through his own exploration and can create expensive dining knives, greatly improving the family environment. Shi Tai has been given high expectations since childhood, and under the careful education of Mr. Shi, his blacksmith skills have rapidly improved. Mr. Shi saw hope in Shi Tai as a master of divine weapon forging, believing that he could reach the level he had always dreamed of. In the future, we can forge the divine weapon and sharp blade of China. Unfortunately, the emergence of the RR virus destroyed their dreams. After the disaster, only Shi Tai survived the entire Shi family. Mr. Shi's beautiful wish has turned into an unwilling last wish. Shi Tai is a very paranoid and rational person, but very intelligent. In order to fulfill my father's last wish, I changed my name to Shi Tai and constantly reminded myself to strive towards my father's last wish with all my might. After enduring hardships, I opened a repair shop and struggled to make a living through blacksmith and mechanical repair skills. Due to not graduating from high school, I encountered the crisis of the RR virus, and my mechanical repair skills were developed by myself. Half a blacksmith and half a mechanical repairman are the only way to make a difficult living. Later on, they met Shi Fen's mother, Li Zi. They fell in love and soon gave birth to Shi Fen's brother, Shi Tian. Under the nourishment of love, Shi Tai relied on his father's generous foundation, coupled with his own diligent research and refinement, to rapidly improve his blacksmith skills and quickly reach the level of Mr. Shi's years, and his family conditions skyrocketed. In this situation, Shi Fen was born. Since the outbreak of genius intelligence, Shi Fen has rebelled against the forging of Shi Tai, and Shi Tai has seen a shadow of hope in Shi Fen's body. As expected, when Shi Fen was in his teens, Shi Tai was finally able to fulfill the old man's last wish. After the opening of Sanshi, Shi Tai launched an attack towards a higher-level divine weapon and sharp blade. My mother in this lifetime is called Li Zi. Li Zi is also a smart person. Although her strength is poor, she only has the strength of elementary martial arts school students. Before the outbreak of the RR virus, Li Zi was still underage and followed her parents, silently learning some accounting work. With the outbreak of the RR virus and the successive deaths of her parents, Li Zi relied on her intelligence to find an accounting job in a small factory and struggled to make ends meet, living a very difficult life. After getting to know Shi Tai, we spent many years of hardship together. It wasn't until the appearance of Shi Fen that their difficult days finally came to an end. The first child they gave birth to, Shi Tian, the older brother of Shi Fen. Shi Tian is 10 years older than Shi Fen, a typical academic scumbag. The clever couple suddenly gave birth to a fool. Shi Tian's academic performance is relatively poor, and his martial arts talent is also poor. At the age of 18, he barely possesses the strength of an intermediate martial arts school student, and at 26, he possesses the strength of an advanced martial arts school student. If nothing unexpected happens, his life will end like this. Fortunately, Shi Tian forged a good understanding, and Shi Fen helped his brother change all of this. Shi Fen is very attentive to this brother. Because in his past life, Shi Fen had an unfortunate brother who passed away and lived for less than 10 years, also known as Shi Tian. Later, when my parents came late to have a son, they finally got Shi Fen. Before their parents passed away, they talked about Shi Tian countless times, but they always felt sorry for him. At the beginning, Shi Fen didn't realize that things would be so coincidental. It is very likely that a great existence easily saved Shi Tian. With a cautious attitude, Shi Fen tried every means to treat his brother well. Since the outbreak, Shi Fen often tutored his brother in his studies, and eventually sent him directly to the higher education institution that his brother most wanted to attend, learning how to forge cold weapons. Later, his forging ability improved, and Shi Tian successfully took the postgraduate entrance examination and continued his further studies. With the learning materials brought back by Shi Tian, Feng combined with the information from the inheritance of refining treasures, helped Tai and Tian improve their forging skills by several levels. After graduating from Tian's graduate school, due to his poor martial arts talent, he only reached the level of a senior martial arts school student at the age of 26 and did not receive the favor of the forging master, failing to successfully become a disciple. Feng went home to look for a job, so the 3 stones naturally appeared. The current 3 stones are at their peak, with considerable income. In this life, Feng is very worthy of his family. It can be said that even if I die, my family's future life will not be bad, and I have laid a solid foundation for them. With the fame of the 3 stones, the future will be worry-free. Compared to his family, Feng was even more regretful for not being able to venture into the universe with Luo Feng, and he accidentally became a passerby in Luo Feng's life. I and Luo Feng, as neighbors, grew up together wearing open-crotch pants, as close as brothers. The two have been mentors and apprentices since childhood. Feng teaches Luo Feng knowledge, and Luo Feng teaches Feng martial arts. I have been influenced by deep-rooted habits from over 60 years in my previous life. The talent for learning practical martial arts and strength training is not as good as Luo Feng, who started from scratch. It is also shameful to say that Feng has studied ancient martial arts and killing techniques for more than 30 years, but has never conducted a decent competition. My own moves, although must kill, have no awareness of attacking the enemy. Ancient martial arts still remain focused on enhancing physical fitness. The current practical martial arts. Everywhere there are killing moves, otherwise it wouldn't be called practical martial arts. This contrast, under inertia, makes it difficult for oneself to adapt and make changes. So Luo Feng became Feng's martial arts teacher. The two often engage in sparring and progress towards each other. Feng tutored Luo Feng in his cultural class, and the two of them have been helping each other back and forth. Over time, due to Luo Feng's fault, Feng became good friends with Luo Hua and Wei Wen. Feng failed to change Luo Hua's fate, so he had to take the time to help Luo Hua more. With Feng's economics course, Luo Hua successfully soared in the stock market, and the future is promising. Compared to deliberately teaching Luo Hua, Wei Wen's learning of forging was just an accident. Wei Wen knew that his family was going to open a 3 stones forging studio. Curious, Wei Wen searched online for information and found that the forging industry was super popular. When Wei Wen learned that Tian's handmade patterned steel dining knife, the cheapest 3-piece set, was at least several thousand yuan in size, he completely relied on Feng and asked him to teach him how to forge it. Feng patiently communicated with Wei Wen. Clearly tell Wei Wen that forging requires at least a few years of hard work, laying a solid foundation, and learning various techniques. Even after a few years of initial learning and exposure to the forging process of patterned steel cutting tools, Wei Wen was still very interested in it, as there was still a high failure rate if he didn't get the hang of it. Feng had no choice but to buy some pig iron to teach Wei Wen the basics of forging. Unexpectedly, Wei Wen's forging talent is on par with Tian. With the help of his good intelligence, Wei Wen's blacksmith skills have rapidly improved. Feng felt a slight headache over this and accidentally changed Wei Wen's future. Feng was afraid of something bad happening. Seeing Wei Wen's excited expression, Feng felt really embarrassed to say anything. Wei Wen practiced for a few days and felt that forging was a particularly interesting skill, as if he was naturally suited for this job. So he also called Luo Feng over. Feng was already very conflicted, and after discovering that Luo Feng also wanted to try forging, Feng's whole person was not doing well. You can see the anticipation in Luo Feng's eyes at that time. You can't help but teach him how to forge a foundation. To Feng's delight, Luo Feng didn't like the feeling of forging iron with a hammer. He preferred to use a knife. After trying it once, Luo Feng no longer wanted to forge and focused on practicing martial arts and swordsmanship. This greatly relieved Feng. If Luo Feng becomes a blacksmith, Feng will really go crazy. In the past 18 years, because I had just arrived in this world not long ago, I began to inherit, and this life has given me new life goals. I don't want to follow the old path of studying and conducting scientific research. In order to break free from the fate of going to school again, I have shown a strange level of intelligence from below. Before the age of 3, he learned to speak and read and write, and began self-learning all the books in the house, including his father's books on forging and mechanical maintenance, and his brother's various learning materials. All become one's own leisure reading materials. After pondering and learning, he began to teach his brother and father in rebellion. Under his diligent guidance, his older brother was later trained to become a graduate student, and his father finally fulfilled his grandfather's long-cherished wish. At the age of 7, I followed my brother and learned forging with my father. With the professional knowledge of cold weapon manufacturing from my older brother's university, combined with my own inheritance of treasure making, after playing a role of gradually learning, for a period of time, I turned around and taught my father and brother how to forge. In terms of personal strength. At the age of 16, my strength was already very close to that of a senior student in a martial arts school. At the age of 18, the physical fitness is not far from the level of a quasi-warrior. In the year when I entered the bottleneck, my older brother graduated from graduate school. Due to his lack of talent in cultivation, he did not receive recognition from important people and had to find a job on his own. The family gathered together and used most of the savings they had earned over the years, as well as the money they earned from their own stock trading, to open a patterned steel tool forging studio called Sancher. After renting a quite large storefront and meticulously renovating it, the whole family works here. Shi Tai, Shi Tian, and Shi Feng, father and son, are responsible for forging. Li Zi is responsible for managing the accounts. An additional photographer was hired to be responsible for recording and editing work. San Shi not only sells standard dining knives, tool knives, etc., but also offers expensive customized services. Each handle is handmade and comes with a birth certificate of the cutting tool upon purchase. A birth certificate is the entire manufacturing process of cutting tools, which, after editing, will be sold together with the tools. In this way, showcasing the birth of cutting tools proves that they are truly handmade. Once the 3 stones were introduced, they immediately became popular. Adding 3 stones and apprentice Wei 1, the 4 of them discussed forging ability. Shi Feng is undoubtedly the strongest. However, in order to maintain a low profile and focus on studying the qualification test, everyone who forges knives will wear a mask on the book garden www.zhaozuiyuan.com to hide their forging strength. In the eyes of outsiders, the forging master of San Shi is a person wearing a mask. The cameramen involved in the recording have all signed a confidentiality agreement with San Shi and cannot disclose information to the outside world. Only a few people know about this matter, and the masked forger is actually 3 people. If nothing unexpected happens, this matter should gradually become exposed after one's own death. After all, without taking control of the 3 stones themselves, the highest end orders of the 3 stones will gradually disappear. Customers will notice abnormalities. Shi Feng relies on his amazing forging skills, as well as his amazing ability to make money through stock trading, and his innate talent as a martial artist in his 20s. As a result, I received special treatment from my family. Since the opening of the 3 stones, I can even live alone in a room, do whatever I want, secretly practice consciousness all day long, and sleep outside without anyone taking care of me. In the past 18 years, I have been living quite comfortably. As for going to school, I have always only given a name. I have hardly ever entered the school gate. Although 18 years are short, they are already exciting enough. Being able to live a new life, Shi Feng is actually very satisfied in his heart. Being able to live in his dream world for another 18 years and fulfill his previous life's wishes, what dissatisfaction can he have? But it's just one trip. Feng felt somewhat regretful in his heart. Unfortunately, I couldn't take good care of my family and friends, and I couldn't see this unfortunate inheritance result. Fortunately, everything has been developing for the better in the past 18 years. This time, even if it was close to death, Feng was not afraid. Death has already happened once, would you still be afraid of a second time? Feng has a clear conscience in this world. Chapter 7. Qualification Trial for Misfortune Promotion, Revised. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. When he first arrived here, Feng couldn't believe it, often doubted life, couldn't believe it was true at all times, and even doubted that he hadn't died completely and was in a mirage. At that time, after Ishikawa's death, Ishikawa witnessed his soul leaving his body with his own eyes. My soul sparkles with color, detached from my body. At that moment, I felt an unprecedented relaxation and my soul seemed to merge with the universe. That comfortable feeling lasted for not long, and suddenly the soul began to sink. It seemed like it had fallen into an endless abyss, constantly falling and never ending. The soul seems to be about to fall into the cycle of hell. After falling for an unknown amount of time, when Feng saw a dazzling golden light, the sense of weightlessness finally came to an end, and he completely lost his sense of autonomy. When Feng regained consciousness, he found himself lying in a crib with many babies crying beside him. Looking at his petite, little hands, Feng was shocked to find that he had been reincarnated. When Feng discovered that this was Devouring the Starry world and that he was neighbors with Feng, he became even more suspicious of life. Not long after arriving here, I finally accepted reality and was preparing to sort out the timeline of world events in the Memory Palace when the inheritance unexpectedly opened. The Memory Palace method is a special way of memory. This method is a peculiar disease from the previous life that forces oneself to learn a special way of memory. The Memory Palace method is a powerful memory technique that uses a familiar place to connect the transactions one wants to remember with that place, thereby completing a systematic method of memorizing a large amount of information. This is an efficient memory method. Mastering this method can become a memory superhero. Simply put, in the mind, construct a familiar scene and store a large amount of memory within it. It's like building a special database in my mind. Some people store memories in books, while others store memories in imagined computers. The form is different, but the result is the same. That day. Just like daily life in a past life. An elderly person, after inspecting the warehouse of technological achievements in a research base, wants to enter the deepest study of the Memory Palace to study unfinished projects. Because there is no entertainment information stored in the Memory Palace. Feng can only rely on his amazing memory and countless times of browsing, recalling every detail, not to mention recalling all the details. He still remembers 80 to 90% of the original plot of Swallowing the Starry Sky. Entering the deepest study door, Feng was shocked to find that he had accidentally entered the depths of his mind. Here, I saw a golden light sphere illuminating the sea of consciousness, with 9 small solid mental and spiritual dark golden spheres outside. In his mind, Feng's body transformed from an old man's appearance to a young man, and his consciousness was able to rejuvenate. Feng hasn't been happy yet. Mutations arise suddenly. A huge golden vortex appeared on the surface of the golden light sphere, and a strong suction applied to Feng's conscious body, causing his consciousness to be sucked into the interior of the golden light sphere. The path of inheritance has officially begun. Feng, you have been sent to devour the starry world by me. Along with you, there is also my inheritance. When you complete all the inheritance trials, it will be the day we meet. Go ahead. Good luck to you. This passage written in Chinese language marks the beginning of Feng's 18-year journey to hell. Inside the golden sphere of light, there is a mysterious virtual space. This space seems to be the interior of a grand palace, with all 4 walls, roofs, and floors shimmering with a faint milky white light. The length and width of the hall are at least 1 kilometer, and the height is at least 100 meters. 1 kilometer in length and width, with an area equivalent to the size of 130 standard football fields. This is simply a small town. On the ground of the small town, there are various strange tools, some placed on tables of different sizes, while others are directly placed on the ground. Various tools are in strange shapes and have huge differences. All kinds of tools, although they vary greatly in appearance. But they all use silver as the main color, supplemented by other colors, with a style similar to the cool appearance of science fiction products in science fiction movies. There is a bookshelf near the teleportation point, as well as 2 sets of ultra-modern style, full of technology, spacious and large sofas and coffee tables. The bookshelf is not too wide, only about 40 centimeters long, but at least 10 meters in length. The height is not too exaggerated, only about 2 meters. On the bookshelf, there are neatly arranged books of varying thicknesses, with the thickest exceeding 20 centimeters and the thinnest only 2 to 3 centimeters. The bookshelf has a total of 4 layers of books, each with a height of nearly half a meter, stuck inside the bookshelf, perfectly fitted. On the side of the book, there are 4 prominent square characters with complex strokes. In addition, there are many small flyhead characters of different sizes, all of which have complex strokes. Feng has a certain level of proficiency in ancient writing. After lying on the book for a while, he could distinguish it, feeling a bit like the big and small seal script font of ancient China. Compared to big and small seal script, it is more complex and beautiful. Looking at each word alone, it feels delightful and pleasing to the eye, as if looking at a beautiful picture. As Feng reached out to touch the book, countless colorful lights shone throughout the entire space. Colorful light comes and goes suddenly. When Feng was reading again, he was stunned. The words on the book have all turned into Chinese. The title of this book is already prominently written in Chinese characters as Foundations of Extreme Forging. Pattern Steel Forging. Feng found a book called Qualification in the top left corner of the bookshelf. This book is at most 5 centimeters thick, and on the cover of the book, there are 2 large characters like iron hooks and silver hooks, which read Qualification. When Feng opened this book, his nightmare life officially began. A powerful flow of information rushed into Feng's consciousness, firmly imprinted in the deepest part of Feng's soul. Feng, welcome to officially start the qualification test. To help you quickly memorize all the content and complete the trial as soon as possible. When you flip through this book, I pour all the information from the books on the shelf into your mind. After all the information is instilled, your consciousness will return to the real world. You'd better sort out all the information and come here again. I believe that with the accumulation of your previous life, most of the content in the front will not be difficult for you. As for the final stage, it will test your intelligence. But I firmly believe that your success is only a matter of time. After all, your soul is very hey. What am I saying about this? Forget it, don't re-record it, let's just do it. Anyway, you will also discover your talent. If it weren't for your talent, I wouldn't have bothered so much. Ahem, in this world, the faster you complete the qualification test, the faster you can proceed to the next stage of the test. I have left some things for you in the next stage. These things, as resources for you to interact with the universe and cultivate your population, can be considered careless. When you complete the next stage of the trial, all these things will be yours, ahaha. This qualification is the control core of this virtual trial space, and I have specially added a one-click reset function for you. I just don't know if you can meet the standard before the age of 18, given all the convenient conditions. Alright, I've said a lot. In the future, if you want to enter the virtual trial space, after meditation, your consciousness will condense in your brain. After entering the sea of consciousness, just like you did this time, you will enter from the golden ball of light. Passing the qualification test before the age of 18 will give you an additional small reward. Ha ha ha, this paragraph is filled with free and unrestrained, somewhat inappropriate comments, followed by a massive amount of graphic and textual information. At that time, Feng read the beginning of that paragraph and then completely lost consciousness, fainting. A few days later, he woke up in a daze, and Feng's head felt as if it had cracked. From that day on, the inheritance that has lasted for nearly 18 years has officially begun. It took Feng nearly a year to complete the basic information integration. The majority of the books on the bookshelf are the key knowledge points of Feng's qualification test, and a small portion are the user manuals of the tools on the entire forging square. In the memory palace, all information was summarized and subjected to a lot of stimulation, completing the preliminary knowledge digestion work. After completion, Feng completely dismantled the memory palace. After entering the memory palace, Feng discovered that his conscious body was still in the state of an elderly person and entered the virtual trial space, while his conscious body was in the state of a young person. Feng vaguely felt that this contrasting state would continue to be problematic. So he made a ruthless decision and directly dismantled it. After completing the information integration, Feng spent nearly a year learning how to use various tools on the square. Feng witnessed many cutting-edge technological tools and was greatly stimulated, forcibly broadening his horizons. The trial task of Feng completely does not require those sky-defying technological tools. In fact, the tools used by Feng are all super simplified versions. Give a few examples, such as iron felt, hammers, and other tools. The reverse version of the tool can change shape, size, adjust weight, etc., which is extremely convenient and effective. Unfortunately, because I don't have the authority to recognize the owner, at most I can pick it up and stare at it. There are nearly 1,000 types of super simplified tools used by Feng, each of which is divided into dozens of different types based on its volume and weight. Feng has learned countless ways to use tools this year, and can basically barely use them. To become proficient in using them, it takes a long time of training and adjustment. The operational foundation has been firmly established, and Feng has officially entered the focus of the qualification test. Extreme forging. Ultimate forging can be divided into 3 major stages, each of which is further divided into 3 minor stages, totaling 9 minor stages. The first stage is basic forging. According to the degree of basic forging, it is divided into 3 small stages, namely 1. Purification of pig iron. 2. 1,000 hammers produce fine steel. 3. Refined and forged divine steel. The second stage is the forging of patterned steel. According to the internal patterns of the metal, it is divided into 3 stages, namely 1. Rope pattern. 2. Cloth pattern. 3. Starry sea pattern. The third stage is the forging of the basic structure of metals, also known as metamorphosis forging. According to the volume concentration of the metal, it is divided into 3 stages. 1. Metal concentration is 3 times. 2. Metal concentration is 9 times. 3. Metal concentration is 100 times. The first stage. It is to purify pig iron into ordinary steel, and then through repeated tempering, elevate ordinary steel to the top grade of refined steel. The second stage. Although the name of this stage is patterned steel forging, the true pattern lies inside the metal. The pattern here refers to the overall arrangement of metal atoms at the atomic level, and can be any shape of pattern on the metal surface. At this stage, after forging, the metal has no special patterns or marks, and the inherent texture is not prominent. The metal luster remains the same as its original appearance. Rope pattern, cloth pattern, and starry sea pattern. They are the 3 states of the overall arrangement of metal atoms within the metal. Simply put, by forging, metal atoms are crystallized, condensed into ropes, woven into fabrics, and converged into an inseparable sea of stars in the universe. At this stage, metal atoms will condense together, making them tightly bound and forcibly enhancing the strength and performance of the metal. At the level of star C pattern, at this time, the internal structure of the metal is extremely uniform and tightly distributed, and the metal atoms are like stars in a sea of stars, firmly connected together, with astonishing atomic cohesion. The metallic properties of steel far exceed the limits of the metallic properties of steel. These first two major stages. Scherfen only needs to use a regular forging hammer, which has the ability to detect the atomic sorting inside the metal. With this forging hammer, Scherfen can fully perceive the arrangement of atoms inside the metal and assist himself in forging. We have reached the third major stage. Scherfen needs to use a more advanced oscillating hammer to compensate for the problem of insufficient ability. With the oscillation wave of the oscillating hammer, Scherfen can proceed with this stage of forging. At this stage, based on the star C pattern steel, by forging and utilizing the magical properties of the oscillating hammer, the state of metal atoms is changed, the metal bonds between metal atoms are broken, the metal atoms are embedded one by one, and the metal is forcibly concentrated to increase the density and strength of the metal. This is a treasure refining method that transforms decay into magic, which can forge ordinary iron into divine iron. In addition to mastering the main part of extreme forging, Scherfen also needs to master the miscellaneous part of extreme forging in the qualification test. Miscellaneous, it has many projects, over 1,000 of which are all related to refining treasures or forging. For example, the use of various technological tools and manual forging tools. Iron or extraction. Iron is 100% purified. Tool processing and shaping. Various forms of casting processes. Quenching, annealing, tempering, normalizing and other processes. Cutting, filing, drilling, tapping, cutting, grinding, welding, complex precision carving and other processes. Special forging processes such as metal powder metallurgy, steel cladding, steel clamping, earth-covered burning blade, and patterned steel pattern customization. Pickling, cutting and other techniques that reveal the appearance and sharpness of the blade. Decorative techniques such as carving, flower carving, gilding, inlay, and aging. Manufacturing process of weapon protective shells. This is just a craft that Scherfen has heard of, and there are many other techniques that Scherfen cannot imagine in the miscellaneous items, all of which together far exceed 1,000. Although there are many miscellaneous items, due to the highly efficient and powerful tools provided, Scherfen can easily complete the vast majority of miscellaneous projects, just like operating a fool's machine by pressing a few buttons, at most personally, and setting a few operational requirements. For Scherfen, these projects are simply entertainment projects specially designed for him. Scherfen is not willing to complete them all at once, and wants to leave them for himself to enjoy slowly, in order to relieve pressure in other aspects. In addition to these simple miscellaneous items. Other than that, all the remaining projects need to be manually crafted by Scherfen. These projects are more or less related to extreme forging. Overall, it is all about improving the cold weapon forging ability of Scherfen. The most important technique in miscellaneous. Customized technology for patterned steel patterns. It is the second stage, the entry-level technology of patterned steel forging. Explain the principle of texture generation from a macro perspective. With a preliminary understanding of this technology, Scherfen can try the second stage of forging. Fully mastering this technology, forged weapons can be decorated with various patterns on the basis of ensuring material quality. Find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, such as wave pattern, spiral pattern, feather pattern, fish intestine pattern, chrysanthemum pattern, ladder pattern, and so on. The requirements for the qualification test are very high. To pass the qualification test, Scherfen needs to complete 100 times concentrated forging and all miscellaneous items. There are some projects among them, and Scherfen has been exposed to similar technologies in his previous life, so Scherfen is quite confident about this. The most insecure aspect of Shurfen is the third stage of metal, basic structure, forging. This is a miraculous technique that completely shakes Shurfen's view of technology. If we compare the scientific and technological accumulation of past generations to a technology tree, what Shurfen sees and hears now is directly digging the roots of the technology tree. Completely subversive destruction of the understanding of science. The memory palace of the past life has been demolished, but the technology tree in Shurfen's heart will not disappear with it. The growth of the technology tree originally relied on one's own little learning and accumulation. The emergence of science and technology in the qualification test directly nurtured the technology tree in Shurfen's heart, forcibly increasing it countless times. Opened the door to a new world for Shurfen's understanding of technology. Due to the advantage of the blacksmith environment at home, Shurfen stepped on the shoulders of Shur Tai and the old man Shur, and made rapid progress all the way. At the age of 8, the first stage is completed. At the age of 12, complete the second stage. Before the age of 16, it breaks through to the 8th stage and then enters a bottleneck, making it difficult to make progress. At the age of 17, complete all miscellaneous tasks. Before the age of 18, he made a breakthrough but was sucked into a human being by a black mirror. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the incredible technological tools that unleash divine power during the qualification test. As a technology enthusiast, this is the most conflicted regret in Shurfen's heart. Chapter 8. Unwilling Adversarial Technology, Revised. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Shurfen knew in his heart that the big shot who brought him here was a high-level figure in the world of treasure refining. However, this big shot is different from the mythological, treasure refining, immortals, and these tools are too black technology. Sometimes Shurfen is thinking, not knowing the mechanical flow originating from the continent, their technological level, and whether there is this big shot. These tools not only have incredible functionality, but also work efficiently to the extreme. Give a few most intuitive examples. The first one is the iron-making plant. Shurfen only needs to throw a certain amount of iron ore into the furnace, press the button, and after 1 second, you can obtain a piece of square pig iron. If you want the pig iron to be larger, add more iron ore. If you want the pig iron to be smaller, add less iron ore. Their refining time is 1 second. The second one is the raw material table. Shurfen can receive unlimited resources on this platform. Various raw materials such as iron ore, coke, limestone, and rare metals are supplied in unlimited quantities. The iron raw material initially only had iron ore on top. Shurfen uses an iron-making device. After refining the raw iron block, it immediately appears on the raw material table, without the need for Shurfen to repeatedly refine the iron. In the future, the raw iron block can be easily taken. Shurfen discovered this and immediately used purification equipment to produce cooked iron blocks, which immediately appeared on the raw material table. For each type of raw material produced by refining stone, an additional type of raw material will be added to the table. Because of its convenience, Shurfen was able to forge 52 types of 9 times iron as he pleased. The third one is a special ability. One-click reset. No need for Shurfen to tidy up by hand, just press the button in the qualification layer to restore everything in the virtual trial space to the cleanest and tidiest appearance. Because this place is called a virtual trial space. Shurfen was very skeptical. It seemed like the virtual universe here, which was completely virtual and could be so magical. This is just the most common example. In addition, there are many cutting-edge technological, finished products that exist in reality and are unrelated to the virtual trial space. Among them, 3 outrageous examples left the deepest impression on Shurfen. Because of the frequent interaction with minerals in my past life. Shurfen was most impressed by mining vehicles. The mining vehicle is 6.6 meters long, 3 meters wide, and 2.6 meters high. It looks a bit like a combination of a space shuttle and an SUV sedan. The mining vehicle has no wings or wheels, and when viewed from a distance, it looks like an extremely exquisite, concept car. It is silver in color, with black decorative stripes on the edges of the body, presenting a perfect streamlined appearance. There are 2 doors on each side of the body, and a cabin door at the rear. It's just this little thing, its mining ability scares people to death. Inside the mining vehicle, there are 4 independent areas. Its structure is a bit like a passenger plane. The aircraft is divided into cockpit, cabin, cargo hold, and other parts. The internal structure of this car is almost identical to that of a passenger plane. In front of the car is the core control cabin, which can be accessed from 2 front doors. The rear compartment is the living quarters for the accompanying passengers, which can be accessed through the middle door. The other 2 areas are 2 storage compartments, all embedded in the car. The hatch at the rear of the car connects with these 2 spaces. There are doors connecting the 4 cabins. The door must be authorized by the core control cabin before it can be opened. The internal space of the core control cabin and living cabin can be adjusted according to usage needs. Generally speaking, the core control cabin can accommodate up to 100 people. The normal maximum capacity of a living cabin is 100 million people. Yes. On the user manual, it says that there are 100 million people. Feng attempted to experiment at the time and was indeed able to change the internal space of the core control module and living module. The maximum capacity that Feng can adjust now is to accommodate 100 people. Surprisingly, in both cabins, there were 100 seats, and even a large public rest area was installed. Small appearance, large volume. The navigation ability of mining vehicles is equally exaggerated. Its speed can easily exceed the speed of light, and its protective cover can easily withstand harsh cosmic environments. As for the upper limit of navigation ability, there is no record in the data of Feng. This is not a mining vehicle. Feng once felt that this mining vehicle was very similar to a flying palace treasure. Among its 4 compartments, 4 were small worlds, and mining was only its auxiliary ability. After pondering in Feng's heart, he also understood. Because the mining ability of mining vehicles is too exaggerated. If you don't bring some combat personnel with you and collect a large amount of minerals, it will be very dangerous. The minerals harvested cannot be used as wedding clothes, can they? The most important mining function of a mining vehicle. The mining vehicle does not require any accompanying personnel to do anything, it can complete mining tasks on its own. The 2 storage compartments of the mining vehicle are a mineral compartment and a mechanical compartment. The mechanical cabin is relatively small. It contains 200 million robots, 100 million mining robots, and 100 million ore processing robots. In addition to robots, there is also a mechanical maintenance station located in the center, responsible for robot maintenance and energy transmission work. 2 types of robots, with identical appearances, all silver in color, and a height of approximately 3 meters. Its material is excellent and can ignore various harsh working environments in the universe. It has an auxiliary intelligence system, is a smart, intelligent robot, and is equipped with a storage space, which contains the tools it needs. The working conditions of robots, disregarding various environments, can truly be anywhere. More ordinary, from the ground to the center of the Earth. A little troublesome, amidst the turbulence in space. A little more difficult, inside the black hole. Almost any place where resources are produced can be easily excavated. The mineral compartment is very large and is used to hold large amounts of ore. After the harvested ore enters the mineral compartment, 100 million ore processing robots will enter it to perform preliminary processing on the ore and complete the impurity separation work of the minerals. The finished ore and separated impurities will be placed in 2 areas in the mineral compartment. When mining with a mining vehicle, Its overall intelligent control system first uses a vehicle-mounted detection device to explore the entire or vein area and obtain the distribution and approximate location of the target ore. Calculate the optimal mining plan, develop an intelligent control system, issue instructions to the mining vehicle, and release a large number of mining robots to carry out mining work. The mining robot arrives at the designated area arranged by the overall system. It first uses its own small detection device to obtain all material information within the designated area. After that, the mining robot heads straight to the location of the target ore and excavates it. After mining one area, it immediately moves to the next area until all the target ore is mined within the designated area. After calculation by the overall intelligent control system, mining robots generally complete tasks simultaneously. When using stone separation, simply set the exact substance to be mined, the working range, and the total amount collected, and so on. After the setting is completed, the intelligent control system of the mining vehicle will dispatch a large number of mining robots to go mining until it is completed. No need for manual labor. This is the ultimate level of foolproof machine. Compared to this, its work efficiency makes Sherfan feel the most fearful. Generally speaking, when excavating the most common mineral veins, the mineral density in the veins is not high. In this case, a 100 million robot can carry out mining work comprehensively, and can excavate at least 1 cubic kilometer of minerals per minute. This is the efficiency under sparse mineral distribution. If it is an extremely poor mine, the efficiency will be greatly reduced. If it is a rich mine, the efficiency will be greatly improved. Dig at least 1 cubic kilometer of minerals per minute. This is still the average mining efficiency, it's simply outrageous. That's 1 cubic kilometer. Not cubic meters. You should know that 1 cubic kilometer is equal to 1 billion cubic meters. In other words, 1 minute can excavate 1 billion cubic meters of minerals. No matter how large the mineral deposit is, it cannot withstand this excavation method. It's still every minute. With this mining efficiency, even digging through the earth is not a very complex problem. In fact, the actual efficiency upper limit of mining vehicles is uncertain. After all, the density, overall distribution, and material properties of minerals themselves are completely different. Under the most ideal conditions, the theoretical maximum mining capacity is 10,000 cubic kilometers per minute. However, such ideal conditions are almost unlikely to occur. One of the conditions is a mineral density of 100%. How could this be possible? Even if we were to dig stones on Earth, we would only dig for quartz. But on Earth, it is impossible to have a 100% density of quartz, and there must be impurities in the quartz or layers. When encountering impurities, efficiency will inevitably decrease, and it is completely impossible to reach the maximum efficiency. This value is purely a theoretical value used to demonstrate the maximum capacity of the machine. The theoretical upper limit of the working ability of or processing robots is almost the same as the former. Equally powerful. These two theoretical values fully demonstrate the terrifying aspect of mining vehicles. The mining vehicle has shown Sherfan a brand new technological perspective. Let Sherfan reap a lot. The exaggerated work efficiency of mining vehicles. Firstly, there is a certain correlation with the number of robots involved in the work. After all, with a base of 100 million, it's here. Secondly, the continuous high mining efficiency is attributed to its unique way of recovering ore, which is space transportation. The robot does not need to return to the mining vehicle. Each robot carries its own spatial storage device. When the amount of harvest in the spatial storage device reaches a certain level, it will automatically activate the spatial transfer function to directly transfer the harvest to the mineral compartment of the mining vehicle. The magical working mode of mining vehicles. The energy consumption of a stone without calculation is undoubtedly extremely astonishing. However, Sherfan did not know what energy source the mining vehicle was using, which could provide such a massive amount of energy. There is no record of this in the user manual of Feng. However, there is a reminder in Feng's user manual that in this virtual trial space, Feng does not need to worry about any issues related to energy consumption. Feng specifically checked all the interior space data of the mining vehicle. The mechanical cabin is a small world that is 100,000 kilometers long, 100,000 kilometers wide, and 100 kilometers high. A small world with a volume equivalent to 10,000 kilometers in length, width, and height. The mineral cabin is a super-large world with a length and width of 100 million kilometers and a height of 10,000 kilometers. A super-large world with a volume equivalent to 1 trillion kilometers in length, width, and height. The storage space of mining robots is a small world with a length, width, and height of 10,000 kilometers. A small world with a volume equivalent to 1,000 kilometers in length, width, and height. The storage space of or processing robots is much larger than that of mining robots, in order to facilitate the transportation and processing of ore in the work cabin. It is a small world with a length and width of 100,000 kilometers and a height of 100 kilometers. A small world with a volume equivalent to 10,000 kilometers in length, width, and height. Excluding other mining vehicles, the value of these over 200 million World-class space storage devices alone is extremely terrifying. Feng is well aware that the most expensive aspect of a mining vehicle is its own manufacturing technology. The value of such an incredible combination of technologies far exceeds the value of over 200 million space storage devices. The top-notch configuration of robots, combined with cutting-edge technology, utilizes the unified allocation of mining vehicle intelligence systems, and works in a way that does not care about energy consumption. This magical combination has created an incredible mining vehicle. This is a technological masterpiece of trench in humanity. Every scientific worker who encounters such a technological masterpiece wants to witness with their own eyes the full power of this technological masterpiece. Not to mention Feng, who worked in scientific research for a lifetime in his past life. Unfortunately, Feng's permissions were too low before. Not to mention the inability to control flight, even the mechanical cabin and mineral cabin cannot be accessed, so we can take a look at the core control cabin and living cabin. At first, Feng didn't pay much attention to this. Feng didn't expect that even when he was dying, he couldn't see the scene of the mining truck exerting great power. Such a powerful technological masterpiece. Among all the tools, in terms of ranking, mining vehicles can only rank in the middle, which can be considered relatively ordinary. A tool with the ability to mine naturally also has the ability to extract ore. This is different from a simple iron-making device, which is just a technological masterpiece, a super-simplified technological tool. This technological masterpiece is called a quenching furnace. Its appearance is somewhat similar to Tai Shang Lao Jun's Bagua furnace, resembling a completely enclosed cauldron furnace. There is a hint of immortal spirit and backbone. On the front of its furnace wall, there is a technologically rich operation panel, which greatly changes the style of this fairy tale gossip furnace. It seems to be a perfect product born from the intense collision and fusion of classical mythology and modern technological civilization. Its function is very simple. It can not only complete the purification or extraction of various ores, but also separate and purify metal alloys into elemental metals. In terms of work efficiency, there is not much difference compared to mining vehicles. Different materials correspond to different work efficiency. The ability of a quenching furnace to process metal or metal alloys is generally efficient at processing 1 cubic kilometer of metal material per minute. The upper limit of theoretical efficiency, processing 10,000 cubic kilometers of metal materials per minute. Due to the presence of mining vehicles, Feng was not too surprised by this at the time. The function of separating alloys surprised Feng a bit. The storage method of the quenching furnace once again refreshed Feng's technological perspective. On the silver operation panel frame of the quenching furnace, there are 3 obvious grooves on the left and right sides of the frame, which are embedded with 3 small black metal sheets. These 3 metal sheets, one stores raw materials, one stores finished products, and one stores residues. Feng has taken down these 3 metal sheets and studied them, and their appearance is completely identical. Its thickness is extremely thin, about 1 mm thick, and its appearance size is about the size of an adult man's fingertips. After seeing their functions, Feng was dumbfounded. This little thing is 1 centimeter wide, 2 centimeters long, and 1 mm thick. Inside it, there is actually a super large space with a length, width, and height of 1 trillion kilometers. If it's just a super large space, Feng wouldn't be surprised. After all, mining vehicles are also equipped with such super large space storage devices. Not only mining vehicles, but also many tools are equipped with ultra-large space storage devices. It seems like a super large space storage device, which is a standard accessory inside the tool. But this metal sheet is different. According to the information recorded in the manual, it can integrate into the human body. As long as it is not personally explored by super experts, others will not see any flaws when outside, making it an extremely safe space storage device. It has higher security than space rings and world rings. The internal space can also be partitioned according to the owner's wishes, creating individual spatial compartments. The manufactured spatial compartments do not interfere with each other. And you can divide as much as you want, as many shapes as you want, and as many as you want. There are no restrictions in this regard. As long as the volume of stored items does not exceed the total internal space, it is sufficient. If you are storing a monster corpse with a strange shape, you can even create a monster custom packaging box that is tightly attached to the monster's skin, and embed the monster corpse inside without leaving any gaps. The key is this monster customized packaging box, because there are no gaps and there is no waste of space for storing items. When calculating the volume, only the actual volume used is considered. That is to say, this metal sheet can truly fill the internal space completely without any waste. A world ring with the same internal space must not be fully stored when storing items. There are not so many substances in the universe that can stack up to a height of 1 trillion kilometers without damage. Even if the user uses their own energy to store all internal items in the air, it can indeed fill up the storage space completely. But who would have nothing to do and waste their divine power doing such things? Isn't it just enough to eat? Moreover, it is difficult for these strong individuals to fill this space. So, the world ring with an internal diameter of 1 trillion kilometers. Basically, storing things will only be placed on the ground and will not be stacked too high. Unless there are special circumstances, divine power will be used to maximize the storage function. It is precisely in this way that the power of metal sheets can be demonstrated. As long as Feng awakens his spiritual power, he will use his spiritual power to recognize the Lord, which is equivalent to having a super large space storage device and extremely safe. Life forms, all kinds of items, can hold. This is not the most exciting feature for Feng yet. Because of its storage function, it is not just a world space treasure, the most basic storage capacity. Creating spatial partitions is only for the convenience of access, allowing for the partitioning, classification, and storage of various items. Its greatest function is to extend the shelf life of the item. Its ability to delay the shelf life of items is extremely excellent. Highly perishable items can have a shelf life extension of at least 100 million years when stored here. It has an effect on various lifeless raw materials and various living materials. Give this metal sheet to the big shot who inherited it, and name it storage card. In this expert's introduction, storage card is a widely used, basic, and standardized space equipment. Usually it is a standard accessory for other technological tools. The storage card that comes with the technology tool will automatically set the internal space division. Generally, it is a small space with a length and width of 10,000 kilometers and a height of 1 kilometer. This is a flat small space that is standard for technology tools. If the situation is special, the tool will automatically adjust according to actual needs. Upon seeing this introduction, Feng was shocked and instantly grew countless, fertile grass, in his heart, elevating the status of great power in his heart countless times. Following this introduction, Feng looked at many technological tools, and found that they were indeed equipped with storage cards, and most of them were equipped with 3. There are some technological tools that do not have storage cards on them, but still have several grooves. These technological tools have a characteristic that they themselves have one or several ultra-large storage devices, with sufficient internal space for use. Zhaozuiyuan.com. Perhaps that's why storage cards are not their standard equipment. Like on a mining vehicle. After Feng discovered the storage card, he went to study it again and found 3 parallel grooves in the core control cabin. Because there is no relevant information introduction, Feng made a bold guess. The functions of these 3 grooves are: 1 is responsible for collecting finished ore, 1 is responsible for collecting garbage residue, and 1 is responsible for providing energy. There is an exception to technology tools. It is extremely unique, as it does not have storage space and is not equipped with a storage card, but it has 100 card slots. Its most basic function is to handle the garbage residue inside the storage card. It can carry out material conversion, transforming garbage residues into useful resources. The technological content is unparalleled. Feng thought he had good luck at the time. At that time, Feng believed that with this inheritance, he would surely make a name for himself in this world. Even becoming the most powerful existence, catching up with and even surpassing Luo Feng. At that time, Feng set a goal for himself to complete the task assigned by this great expert within 18 years. Otherwise, in the future, if he successfully meets Da Neng, Feng will feel like he can't lift his head. Sorry for this, Da Neng. Feng made up his mind at that time to exceed it. Because the bait given by Da Neng to Feng was too tempting and gave him unparalleled motivation, coupled with his persistent and almost paranoid personality, Feng was able to persist for 18 years. In the end, I actually walked towards death. This unlucky inheritance. After the memory in Feng's heart flashed back, there was only time to roast, and his consciousness was completely unconscious. Chapter 9. 8 Trigrams of Reincarnation Mirror, Revised. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. After the black octagonal mirror completely absorbed Feng, it did not detach from Feng's palm, as if still sucking on Feng's body. A large amount of colorful strange substances flew in from Feng's body and rushed into the black octagonal mirror. This process lasted for about half an hour, and Feng has been in a special process of feigning death. When the colorful strange substances no longer appeared in Feng's body, a black octagonal mirror suspended on Feng's head, and a large amount of colorful, thick fog emerged from the mirror surface. The thick fog seemed to be guided and rushed into Feng's dry body crazily. In less than a second, Feng's body returned to its previous state. With a muffled groan, Feng's eyelids struggled to move and slowly opened his eyes. Feng realized that he was in a colorful light. He raised his hand, wanting to grab the colorful light. Hand passed through it without being affected by any stones. Is this the underworld? Feng murmured softly. No, it's not right. How come I feel so comfortable? Feng felt incredibly comfortable at this moment, even more so than the feeling of awakening his spiritual and mental energy last time. Feng quickly stood up and looked around. The location of Feng is the resting room of the forging room. The mirror somehow left Feng's palm, suspended in the air, releasing a large amount of colorful mist outward. Feng Chang breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that he was not dead. I still have the opportunity to continue my life. After experiencing the near-death and flashback of memories, Feng cherished his current life even more. I just don't know why the mirror should release the colorful mist. The mirror saw Feng wake up and continue to release colorful light outwards. The mirror, emitting a colorful mist, actively flew towards Feng and attached his palm again. It skillfully cut open Feng's palm and continued to crazily draw his blood. Holy crap! Feng saw the black octagonal mirror and pressed it against his palm to suck blood, causing him to curse profusely. Feng is not a gentleman and sage. When the rabbit is anxious, it still bites people, let alone Feng, who held a high position in his previous life. His subordinates were often scolded by Feng back then. In fact, Feng was also scolded by his teacher from childhood to adulthood. The black mirror doesn't care about these things. It crazily draws blood from stones, and the amount of blood drawn in a second can reach dozens of liters. The normal human body has less than 5 liters of blood, and the amount of blood lost in 1 second exceeds 5 liters. If it weren't for this colorful light, the physique of the golden horn giant wouldn't be able to withstand this suction technique. On Feng's palm, a large amount of fresh blood flowed out frantically. Feng felt like he was just a freshly squeezed watermelon, being sucked wildly by the mirror. I feel different this time. Feng looked around, countless colorful lights frantically merging into his body. Although a large amount of blood was flowing away, Feng did not have any sense of impending death fear. Instead, he felt extremely comfortable in his body. He clearly felt that his physical fitness was crazily improving. Feng understood that this time, it was still the masterpiece of that great expert. If he didn't startle himself a few times, he wouldn't give me good things. Thinking of this, Feng doesn't care about these anymore. Sitting on the bed, quietly looking at the mirror, in my own palm, crazily sucking blood. More than an hour has passed. Have you finally finished sucking? Feng couldn't help but sigh as she saw the mirror stop sucking blood. The last bit of colorful light inside the room completely integrated into Feng's body. Accompanied by the complete integration of colorful light, the black octagonal mirror held by Feng gave him a feeling of water and milk blending. He felt as if the mirror had become a part of his body, and controlling it seemed like an instinct. This mirror is very compact, with a diameter of about 10 centimeters and a thickness of about 1 centimeter, and is entirely black. On one side is an incredibly smooth mirror. Even with a black mirror, Feng can still see a clear mirror image. On the other side, there is an ancient and simple Bagua diagram, which is somewhat similar to the Fuxi innate Bagua diagram, but the Bagua diagram on the back of this mirror is slightly more complex. At the very edge of the pattern, there are many groove-shaped patterns that are difficult to understand. Feng's heart moved slightly, and the black mirror integrated directly into his hand, disappearing. His mind moved again, and the mirror suddenly appeared in his hand. It's extremely easy to control. It's really amazing. Feng discovered that he could control the mirror to appear anywhere within 1 meter of his body. If you want to put away the mirror, use any part of your body to come into contact with it, and under your control, you can put it away. It is equally effective across clothing. Interesting. Feng did not immediately check the harvest, but at this point he was not in a hurry. He put away the mirror, got out of bed, and began to move his body. The awakening of his spiritual and mental abilities, as well as the subsequent integration of colorful light, greatly improved his physical fitness. He wants to adapt to his current strength and then go check on his gains. Feng stood on the open space in the lounge, his eyes becoming sharp. He clenched his fist in his right hand, squatted slightly, and swung his fist vigorously all over his body. The air shook violently due to the violent punching of Feng, emitting a fierce roar of fist wind. My strength has improved a lot. I don't know what kind of strength I have now. Feng pondered his own strength while practicing Tai Chi repeatedly. Feng's consciousness is concentrated throughout the body, sensing changes in muscle strength and gradually mastering these changes. His fist techniques vary in speed, sometimes with excessive force, and sometimes with superficial force. Even the most layman would think that Feng is a beginner in martial arts. Over and over again, his fist technique gradually became smooth and agile. After practicing Tai Chi for nearly an hour, Feng finally mastered the explosive power. I feel like my strength has increased by at least 4 or 5 times. In this case, my strength should have reached the advanced warrior level, Feng said to himself, clenching his fist and unsure. I am so strong without learning genetic engineering. If I had learned genetic engineering, my physical fitness would have really improved. But I'm not in a hurry to become a martial artist. Understanding the inheritance of one teacher is the big deal. Let's take a look at my gains. After 18 years of hard work, I changed this mirror and I don't know what's good inside. On Feng's palm, a black octagonal mirror suddenly appeared, and his face was full of anticipation, his heart building a connection with the black mirror. Suddenly, a large amount of information was directly infused into Feng's mind. This black octagonal mirror is called the Bagua Reincarnation mirror. It has 3 inner worlds and 2 other abilities. Because of the name of the mirror, Feng was very skeptical. He also had the ability to send him into reincarnation, allowing him to be reborn. The first ability is detection function. It, like a detector, has extremely strong detection capabilities. It can detect all substances within its detection range and detection accuracy. Detection diameter, 1000 kilometers. Detection accuracy, decimeter level. Items with an actual side length greater than 10 centimeters can be detected. Feng can use the brain to receive and process information. Information can also be projected into 3D effects for real-time viewing. Feng can also grant others the permission to receive information and share detector information. After this, it is also thoughtfully marked that the current information processing limit of Feng is a spherical space with a diameter of 11.235 kilometers. The second ability is the scanning and recording function. This function is combined with the detection function. After scanning items and lives, all information about the items and lives will be obtained and stored in the mirror's database. Based on this data, analysis can be conducted to assist in refining treasures. Scanning diameter, 1000 kilometers. Scan record upper limit. All material treasures below the true God level can be scanned and recorded as raw data. The more complex and deep the item, the longer the scanning time. These 2 functions, under Feng's God's perspective on this world, are the upper limit of the scanning and recording function, which can make Feng's eyes shine. Knowing the various magical treasures, as well as the limited detection and scanning functions, did not keep him in mind. In his eyes, such an arrogant mirror, with 2 additional functions, can only detect and has no attacking power at all. This makes Feng very sad. Even though I know this feature and don't consume his energy, I still feel very sad. No wonder Feng is so sad. These 2 functions can be achieved by the high-end large and small detectors of Shifunju, with a wider detection range. As for the issue of energy consumption, Feng doesn't care either. With a detection diameter of 1000 kilometers, when his strength is slightly stronger, this energy consumption will be negligible. As for those 3 inner worlds, they are completely different. Might defy the heavens. According to the information description, Feng can freely shuttle between the 3 inner worlds. Firstly, the inner world. It is an inner world continent with a length, width, and height of millions of kilometers, and has a very pure and rich cosmic energy inside. Just like the cosmic secret realm in the primitive universe. The gravity of the inner world can be adjusted through the 8 Trigrams reincarnation mirror. Set the numerical range to 0.10000 times the Earth's gravity. Secondly, mirror the world. The place where he was before was a sub-world of the mirrored world. Feng completed the qualification test, and the sub-world shattered accordingly. The mirror world now corresponds exactly to the refining world, which is a mirror of the refining world. Stones are forged here to study the manufacturing of treasures, which can save a lot of materials. Thirdly, the world of refining treasures. Unlike the previous, virtual trial space, the internal space of the treasure refining world at this time is composed of several rooms connected to each other, like the interior of a palace complex. All the items inside are also real. The size of the main hall is exactly the same as the previous virtual trial space, with a width of 1,000 meters and a height of 100 meters. The other, auxiliary halls, are relatively small, measuring 300 meters in length and width and 30 meters in height. He can pilot the 8 Trigrams Reincarnation mirror flight here. Including this flying ability, the current Bagua Reincarnation mirror has 3 abilities. Compared to that, Feng believes that the flight function is the most practical. After gaining a general understanding of the information, Feng did not immediately go inside to check various gains. He suppressed his excitement and opened the locked forging room door, handing the perfect feather-patterned short sword to Tian. He casually dealt with his brother, rented it out, and flew back home. Returning home, Feng locked the door again and rushed back to the bedroom, pulling the curtains. Feng directly activated the detection projection, projecting a colorful light sphere with a diameter of 1 meter, and a 3D projection appeared in front of Feng. The center of this photosphere is exactly where Feng is currently located. At the bottom of the photosphere is a mantle magma layer 500 kilometers underground. The top of the photosphere is the Earth's atmosphere, and because the detection radius is 500 kilometers, the top he sees has reached the outermost, escape layer, of the atmosphere. Looking down along the longitude line, there is a magical scene of transition from the atmosphere to the mantle layer. Having been a scientist for a lifetime, Feng felt surprised to see such a magical Earth. Studying the Earth from such an angle. This is much more fun than studying forging. With joy in his eyes, Feng constantly changed the size of the light ball, releasing his mental and intellectual energy. After carefully examining it for a long time, he even adjusted the brightness of the light ball and stuck his head in to see everything with the naked eye. Either way, a man is a teenager until he dies. For Feng, who has already died once, he still has an incredibly strong curiosity about novel things. By the time he studies enough light balls, it's already 8 p.m. Feng hesitated for a long time, but still didn't dare to personally accept the information and check it. It's so late, he's afraid of seeing something he shouldn't be looking at, with a long needle hole. He held the gossip reincarnation mirror, his heart communicating with the mirror, and his figure disappeared into the bedroom, entering the inner world. Feng stands in the center of this continent, looking around. Here, there are no high mountains, only endless grasslands. In the air, there is a faint mist floating. Strangely, this mist has good transparency and does not block the light very much. Feng raised his hand to cover his eyes and looked into the distance, only seeing the vast borderline. A continent with a border length of 1 million kilometers is not a joke. Although he cannot see the edge with his own eyes, his control over the inner world allows him to overlook it from a divine perspective. On the ground of the continent, dense and delicate grass grows. Besides, there are no other plants. He took a deep breath, and Feng felt refreshed. It seemed that taking a few more deep breaths would increase his strength. He knows that fog contains a large amount of cosmic energy. This is a treasure trove of cultivation. But I didn't expect the increase in strength to be so exaggerated. Feng estimated that he could gain at least a few kilograms of strength per day, which is not inferior to the cultivation effect of the 5 hearts towards heaven gene original energy cultivation method mentioned in the original work. Compared to the inner world, using gravity to cultivate is the best way to achieve the best cultivation effect. For newly transformed stone fragments, gravity can act on the entire body, conducting all round and dead angle quenching, and solidifying the foundation of the stone fragments. He only needs to adjust his gravity well, and in his daily learning and life, he can continuously increase his strength. It seems that I will be able to rest here in the future. Should I buy a bed and send it in, or just build a makeshift house? Feng rubbed his chin with his hand holding the 8 trigrams reincarnation mirror, thinking about what to do. Quickly, he made a decision. Forget it, how can I do without a roof? Sleeping in such a big place is so scary. It's better to spend money to build a prefabricated house. With my mental ability, it shouldn't be difficult. Feng is holding the 8 trigrams reincarnation mirror and preparing to urge him to leave here. Feng looked at the 8 trigrams reincarnation mirror in his hand and was stunned. This is not scientific. Feng's eyes widened as he realized it. Previously, due to being too focused on other issues, he unexpectedly did not notice this major bug. This question. It's like a person holding a large burlap bag, putting themselves inside, and after entering, the burlap bag is still in their own hands. This is not in line with common sense. Just like Luo Feng in the original work, his true self used the world ring and included his clone in it. After his clone entered, the world ring was in the clone's hand. This one can't be good. That world ring is in the hands of Lord Luo Feng. This is in line with the laws of space. And the inner world directly breaks this rule. Digging into the Klein bottle and putting oneself inside. This is Feng's current feeling. But now Feng has also seen the world before, and after being slightly surprised, he has come to understand some key issues. Firstly, nature is an unknown mysterious powerhouse whose abilities are too incredible. Secondly, as mentioned in the previous function introduction, Feng can shuttle through 3 worlds, which means they were previously connected, but not completely connected. He can pilot the 8 trigrams reincarnation mirror to fly in the world of treasure refining, but it is not said that he can also fly in the inner world. This indicates that the two are not exactly the same. The inner world is particularly special. To verify this, Feng contacted Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com and traveled back and forth several times between his home and the inner world. Wherever it is, the 8 trigrams reincarnation mirror is always in the hands of Feng. He found a camera without any information transmission function at home, brought the camera into the inner world, set up the camera next to him, aimed it at the location he would be waiting for, and started recording. Feng walked within the range of the video and directly entered the world of treasure refining. Ignoring what was inside, he waited for a second before immediately retreating. Then enter the mirrored world again, wait for 1 second, and immediately exit. Turn off the recording, he returned home, set up the camera again, and aimed it at his own position to start recording. Return to the inner world once again. After watching 2 videos, Feng completely understood. When he entered the world of treasure refining, his body disappeared, and only the 8 trigrams reincarnation mirror suspended in the air. When he enters the mirror world, both his body and the gossip cycle mirror are outside. When he enters the inner world, his body and the 8 trigrams reincarnation mirror disappear simultaneously, and his return is also the same. After watching the video, he brought his camera and headed to the world of treasure refining, aiming at himself again to start the recording. Feng is in the world of refining treasures, going to the inner world and the mirror world respectively. After Feng entered the world of treasure refining, the body of the mirror remained suspended in the bedroom. The result is the same as before, entering the inner world, the body disappears, going to the mirror world, and the body stays in place. He aimed his camera at himself again and started recording. He first entered the mirrored world, then went to the inner world and the treasure refining world separately. The result this time was somewhat special. Feng felt his consciousness return to his body first, and then he went to the other 2 worlds. Because the essence of the mirror has always been in the bedroom, Feng entered the inner world without carrying a mirror. He can really freely shuttle between the 3 worlds.